Chapter 14:10. The fox cried even louder, trembling all over. It was as if she had already seen herself as a dish placed on the silver-haired youth's table. "I don't have an appetite for now. Just bring her up here," Suyu said indifferently. The fat priest laughed so hard that the fat on his face was almost squeezed together. "Hee, no problem. Come on, bring it up to this young man. When he wants to eat it, we'll do as he asks." Two big men pressed the fox to Suyu's side and presented a key-shaped rune to Suyu with both hands. "This is the key to unlocking the seal. Please keep it well. As long as the seal is not unlocked, she will lose the ability to resist." "Okay." Suyu put the key on the table and continued to watch the ingredients being auctioned. "Haha, the second ingredient, which I'm sure everyone will be interested in, is from the Earth Dragon tribe," the fat priest introduced with a smile. Before he could finish his words, another leaf floated down. Suyu's unquestionable voice followed. "No matter what it is, bring it up here." The fat priest was overjoyed and said hurriedly, "Bring it up." This caused dissatisfaction. "Brother, can you eat two of them alone?" a wizard with a golden snake head said threateningly. Suyu's expression was indifferent. "It's none of your business whether I can eat them or not. If you want them, follow the rules." "Humph. You want to compete in resources?" "I, the Golden Snake Gentleman, have never been afraid of anyone." The wizard with the golden snakehead threw down a 500-year-old rare fruit. The fat priest's eyes lit up and he corrected himself. "The Golden Snake Gentleman has offered a higher price. Young man, according to the rules, I'm afraid you can't swish." However, to the fat priest's astonishment, hundreds of leaves of the 1,000-year-old soul-stabilizing wood fell like snowflakes, covering a thick layer of the stage. The inn was dead silent. Were these really the best treasured leaves? Why did they fall to the ground in Suyu's hands like discarded trash? The fat priest swallowed hard, his eyes fixed on the priceless treasured leaves. The Golden Snake Gentleman was like a stone statue, staring at the invaluable treasured leaves without moving an inch. "I'll buy all the ingredients for the next auction. If you're not satisfied, take out more resources." Suyu looked down at the crowd. The domineering and unbridled arrogant words shocked them, causing them to be angry, but they didn't dare to make a sound. How could a person who casually threw out such a huge amount of resources be an ordinary person? At the very least, they could not afford to offend him. The fat Taoist priest nodded his head like a chick pecking at grains. "Today's ingredients will be delivered to you." Guards. Delivery. Walala. A group of strong men entered in a single file. They were escorting more than 10 goods, and they stood behind Suyu in a row. It was a magnificent sight. With more than 20 keys in his hand, Suyu swept his gaze over them one by one. When his gaze swept over the last key, which was a creature suppressed by 3 seals, he was startled. When Shuang noticed this person, he was shocked. Branch leader Wuxin. That group of middle-aged women with disheveled hair and bowed their heads in silence were none other than Helm leader Wuxin, who had betrayed the Saint Lady Temple and sought refuge with the Chu clan of the Fan capital. Suyu asked, "Are you the most special ingredient today?" Helm leader Wuxin could not look at Suyu and Shuang directly. She lowered her head in silence, her face full of bitterness and remorse. At this time, the fat Taoist priest's face tightened, and he slapped Helm leader Wuxin's face with the back of his hand. "Lowly maid, I'm asking you a question." Helm leader Wuxin's body trembled, and she instinctively felt fear. She hurriedly said, "Yes." It was unbelievable that the dignified first Helm leader of the Saint Lady Temple had been trained like this by a little wizard. It was clear what kind of torture she had suffered in the Fan capital during her absence for half a month. Suyu and Shuang looked at each other, and both of them had complicated expressions. "I'll take the people with me first, is that okay?" Suyu asked the fat Taoist priest. The fat Taoist priest smiled like a chrysanthemum. Of course. They are all mine now. Whenever you want to eat them, just bring them here." My chef here will cook them according to your requirements. Follow me, all of you. Suyu walked downstairs without looking back. The fat Taoist priest eagerly led the way. Take care, I'll come again when I have time. Suyu led the group to a secluded place and stared at Helm Leader Wuxin. The others can go, but you stay. With a wave of his hand, he distributed all the keys to them. They were stunned. When they were sure that Suyu was not joking, they felt as if they had been pardoned. They kowtowed and thanked him, then fled. Playing with the only key left in his hand, Suyu said lightly, as the saying goes, when the cunning hare is dead, the hound is cooked, but there are times when the hound is cooked first. Helm Leader Wuxin, do you have anything to say? Helm Leader Wuxin suddenly looked up, her eyes full of hatred. It's all your fault. If you hadn't appeared, I would never have ended up like this. Slap. A loud slap sounded, but it wasn't Suyu who did it, but Shuiying. Helm Leader Wuxin's face was burning, and a clear palm print suddenly appeared. Helm Leader Wuxin laughed at herself. Hit me all you want. In the past, I was always against you. Now that I am in such dire straits, it is time for you to take revenge. Strangely, Helm Leader Wuxin seemed to know who Shuiying was. Shuiying said calmly, This slap is not for myself, but for the temple leader. You have misunderstood her good intentions. As he spoke, he took out a jade slip and threw it to Helm Leader Wuxin. What else do you want to show me now? Do you think I will forgive that old fellow? Helm Leader Wuxin sneered. Shuiying just threw the jade slip at her without saying a word. Helm Leader Wuxin sneered for a while and glanced at the jade slip. The smile on Helm Leader Wuxin's face froze like ice. The reform plan of the Saint Lady Temple. Abolish the Helm Leaders, establish the left and right cabinets, and supervise each other. The Saint Lady will be the left cabinet master, and Wuxin will be the right cabinet master. Helm Leader Wuxin's face stiffened. You lied to me. You wrote this yourself, didn't you? That old woman wants to abolish me. Helm Leader Wuxin said in disbelief. Shuiying said, The temple leader personally left the scent of her soul. I believe you can't be mistaken. As for whether she wants to abolish you or not, it is all in your imagination. With the temple leader's character, if she wants to abolish you, why would she give you the chance to defect to the enemy? Helm Leader Wuxin was stunned. Yes, with the temple leader's cleverness, if she really wanted to abolish her, how could she not guard against her betrayal? But she did not guard against her, which meant that she had no intention of abolishing her, but continued to put her in an important position. When she understood, the expressions on Helm Leader Wuxin's face kept changing. Shame, remorse, and shame finally turned into two streams of tears that rolled down from her eyes. I'm sorry. She had treated her well, but because of her selfishness, she had defected to the enemy and almost ruined the Saint Lady Temple's plans. Shuiying said, The temple leader said that if you are willing to come back, she will still welcome you. With bitter tears in her eyes, Helm Leader Wuxin shook her head. How can I face her? Face my former compatriots? Choking with sobs, she knelt down on both knees and solemnly bowed 3 times in the direction of the Saint Lady Temple. Your unfilial disciple Wuxin has let you down and the ancestors of the Saint Lady Temple down. Looking at Wuxin, who was crying from the bottom of her heart, Suyu thought about it and threw the key on the ground. You are free now. Wuxin did not pick it up immediately. Instead, she looked at Suyu. Don't you hate me? I was so overbearing towards you and almost hurt you. Suyu said, Nothing is better than knowing one's mistake and changing. You know what happened yesterday, so why should I take it to heart? If she could turn over a new leaf, Suyu would naturally give her a chance to be reborn. Wuxin had a complicated look on her face and felt even more ashamed. Kowtowing, Wuxin said, Thank you, benefactor, for your great kindness. Wuxin will repay you with my life. You're too kind, Suyu said. No, I'm serious. If nothing goes wrong, the benefactor temple will face a bloody disaster. Wuxin said. Suyu smiled. Do you know how to read fortunes? Of course, I don't know how to read fortunes, but I know a thing or two about the mysteries of heaven, Wuxin said solemnly. Su Yu understood the hidden meaning in her words. He turned his eyes and said, "Is that why you were auctioned off as food?" "Benefactor, you are extremely intelligent," Wuxin exclaimed and said, "I accidentally learned from the conversation between Chu Long and his son that they were going to harm you. For the sake of confidentiality, they got rid of me." A former helm leader of the Saint Lady Temple had the strength to overpower most level 3 wizards. Chu Long was ruthless enough to get rid of her, which showed how worried he was about the news leaking. The importance of the news was bound to be fatal. "Tell me, what are the father and son planning to do?" Su Yu said. Wuxin looked solemn and fearful. "The father and son are a pair of lunatics. They plan to set the venue of the competition in the Azura Forbidden Lands." "The Azura Forbidden Lands?" Su Yu's heart thumped. On the way here, they encountered the Azura Forbidden Lands. With a glimpse, they clearly saw the terrible creatures living in the Forbidden Land. The number was enough to destroy the Lost Nation hundreds of times over. "I can't believe the Chu clan wants to set up the location there. Are they trying to kill Su Yu? Are they trying to kill Chu Baoang as well?" Shuiying asked in surprise. Wuxin shook her head. "You don't know about this. Since ancient times, Fan capital and Xing capital have served another important purpose in addition to directly obeying the orders of the sect master. I don't know if you know about it." Shuiying shook his head, feeling lost. However, Su Yu, an outsider, had a glimmer of light in the depths of his eyes. "Don't tell me the purpose you mentioned is to guard the Forbidden Lands?" Wuxin looked surprised. She felt that Su Yu was too smart. She said, "Exactly. Xing capital, and Fan capital. The 3 capitals of the Lost Nation correspond to the 3 Forbidden Lands of the Lost Nation. Fan capital is responsible for guarding the Azura Forbidden Lands," Wuxin said. "They have been guarding the Azura Forbidden Lands for generations. No one knows how much they have secretly explored the Azura Forbidden Lands and how much they know. I'm afraid that even the sect masters of the past do not know as much about the Azura Forbidden Lands as they do. Since they chose the Azura Forbidden Lands, they must have a way to get Chu Baoang out safely. Therefore, the benefactor's chances of survival are slim, but the other party is able to withdraw. It is really a great trap." After listening, Su Yu's expression became grave. If the venue of the competition was the Azura Forbidden Lands, it would be a bloody disaster. Chapter 14:11. However, since he had chosen to compete, Su Yu certainly would not give up on the spot. The 10,000 soul stone for crafting the Cosmos Sword Formation, the materials for crafting the replica of the World Annihilation Plate, and many lost materials for weapons of the ancient civilization. Throughout the entire ancient god realm, only the Chu clan of the Fan capital could gather all of them. If he missed this opportunity, it would be impossible to find enough resources again. If that's the case, it shouldn't be enough to provoke their killing intent, right? Su Yu said. The content of the competition was up to them. This was personally promised by the Moonwatch sect master. Therefore, even if it was set in the Azura Forest, there was nothing wrong with it. Of course. If that's the case, they certainly don't have to worry about it. However, the news I heard is enough to push the Chu clan into eternal damnation, Wuxin said. They're actually prepared to tear open an opening in the restriction when necessary and bury you and the spirit shaman inside. They could not afford to lose. If they lost, they would lose resources that the Chu clan had accumulated for at least tens of millions of years. It would shake the foundation of the Chu clan. Therefore, just in case if they lost, they would use extreme means to kill Su Yu and the supervising Ling Wu with the help of the powerful creatures in the Forbidden Lands. Su Yu and Shuiying were horrified. They knew very well that there were many dangerous creatures in the Azura Forbidden Land. If they tore open an opening and failed to control it, it would trigger the beast tide to surge out. It would be an unprecedented disaster for Fan Capital and the entire Lost Nation. The two of them finally understood why they wanted to kill Wuxin. Unfortunately, they were too greedy and could not be executed immediately. Instead, they were sold as food. Recalling the station in the Blackwood Forest, Su Yu said, "Birds die for food, and humans die for wealth. The Chu clan may really die for wealth." "Do you have any evidence?" Su Yu asked. Wuxin smiled bitterly. "After I overheard it, I was controlled by them. How can I collect evidence?" Just as Su Yu and Shuiying were disappointed, Wuxin said, "However, if we can capture one of them alive and use the soul-searching technique, it will not be difficult to see their plan." Shuiying pondered. "Perhaps this is the only way. If we can report their entire plan, the sect master will never forgive them." Regarding this, Wu Xian completely agreed. Since ancient times, no one has ever dared to rashly touch the seal of the forbidden area. For the sake of their family's wealth, the Chu clan actually dares to disregard the world. If this matter were to be known by the headmaster, their entire family would be exterminated. Suddenly, Su Yu realized something and said, "Leave this place quickly." Schwa, the three of them quickly disappeared. Not long after, a group of people arrived, and among them was a fat Taoist priest. However, his face was pale, and his face was drenched in cold sweat. He nodded and bowed as he followed behind a young man with heavy yin energy. That young man was Chu Bawang. Chu Bawang's face was gloomy as he held a handful of 1,000-year-old soul-stabilizing wood leaves in his hand. "I've lost track of his aura." Overlord Chu turned around coldly and scattered the leaves on his face. He said angrily, "Useless! Who told you to let go of the ingredient?" He never imagined that Wu Xian, who was supposed to become a dish, would actually be taken away alive. Although it was an extremely precious 1,000-year-old soul-stabilizing wood leaves, the thought of Wu Xian still being alive made Chu Bawang's heart palpitate and uneasy. It was as if a stone was pressing down on his chest. The fat Taoist priest looked aggrieved. "If the guests want to take away the ingredients, Miao Fong House has no right to stop them. Moreover, the young master did not say that they could not take them away." Bang! In exchange, Chu Bawang kicked him hard, leaving his abdomen bloody and his fat body flying like a stone. "How dare you? You're blaming me for the stupid things you've done?" Overlord Chu shouted fiercely. Clutching his painful belly, the fat Taoist priest hurriedly knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. "I know my mistake. Take some people to find them immediately and make amends." "Yes, yes, yes." The fat Taoist priest nodded like a chicken pecking at rice and hurriedly led the group of people away. However, when he left, his eyes flashed with anger. After walking far away, he cursed with hatred. "Who do you think you are? Isn't it just the skin of the young master? Humph! You wait and see." When they came to a secluded place, Su Yu said to Helm Leader Wuxin, "Fan Capital is not a place to stay for long. You have already provoked a fatal disaster, so you should not stay for long. Leave quickly." Wuxin stared at Su Yu and said, "Although I am a traitor, I still have my own choices. You saved me from the dining table, so I owe you my life." Su Yu shook his head. "I did it in passing, not just for you. You don't have to take it to heart." When he finished speaking, he turned invisible, hid his scent, and disappeared in front of her eyes with Shuiying. Wuxin tried to sense, but found that she had lost track of them. The resolute light in her eyes did not diminish, and she hid in a flash. In a dilapidated temple outside a deserted, abandoned city. Shuiying asked curiously, "Wuxin wants to repay you, why don't you give her a chance? Do you still not trust her?" "I believe in her desire to repay me, but it is because of this that I don't want her to follow me," Su Yu said. "There are too many disasters around me. If she really wants to repay me, she will die because of this sooner or later. This will make me feel uneasy." Shuiying chuckled. "I realize that you are not as cold as you look." Su Yu touched his chin. "Oh? Am I cold? How dare you deny it? You treated hundreds of lives like ants in the ruins of the ice-sealed river. You went to the ruins of the ice-sealed river? Why didn't I see you? Suyu frowned. All the wizards in the ruins had been swallowed by the world annihilation dragon with the divine dragon's devour. Suyu found the scale later, but why didn't he find this person in it? Oh, I heard it from the saint lady. Shuang's face flashed with panic, and he hurriedly changed his words. Although Suyu was suspicious, he did not think too much about it. He said casually, "You have a close relationship with the saint lady. I have observed her, and she doesn't seem like a talkative person. She must like you very much since she told you the details of that day." No, we are not close, not at all. You have to believe me," Shuang explained hurriedly. Suyu was puzzled. "I heard that the saint lady likes handsome men, and she takes in all the beautiful men in the world. Brother Shuang is so handsome, and she has entrusted you with such an important task. How can you not be close? Brother Shuang, you don't have to be modest." "I am not being modest." Shuang's face was flushed with anxiety. "Moreover, she has no interest in handsome men, and she has never taken in any beautiful men. These are all rumors, damned rumors. She has her own difficulties." Suyu looked him up and down, feeling strange. He thought to himself, why is he so anxious? Suddenly, Suyu seemed to understand something. He chuckled and said, "Brother Shuang, don't worry. Although the saint lady and I are fiancé, we will not have anything to do with each other. You don't have to worry." Hearing this, Shuang wanted to cry, but had no tears. He said with a bitter face, "I didn't mean that. Haha, the saintess is indeed a rare beauty in this world. Her appearance is out of this world, her status is noble, and her talent is outstanding. She is a one-in-a-million woman. Unfortunately, I don't have the fortune to enjoy her. I don't have that kind of thought towards her. Brother Shui can rest assured." The more Suyu said this, the darker Shuang's eyes became, and a trace of bitterness spread from the corner of his mouth. This was what Suyu was really thinking. However, Shuang was not too disappointed, because he had never expected it. Didn't he disguise himself and follow Suyu to develop a relationship between them? Thinking of this, Shuang was not so sad anymore. He smiled and said, "Forget it, let's not talk about the saint lady anymore. The person I was talking about is here." Soon, a woman in colorful clothes landed near the dilapidated temple to look for him. When she was sure that she was in the dilapidated temple, she smiled and said, "Suyu, Mr. Shuang." "It's you?" Suyu was surprised. The woman in colorful clothes in front of him was none other than Cauldron. As early as Suyu came to the Saint Lady Temple, the Saint Lady had expected that Suyu would go to Fan Capital for the competition sooner or later. Therefore, she ordered Cauldron to prepare in advance. Cauldron smiled and looked at Shuang meaningfully. She said, "The training room is ready, please come with me." Under Cauldron's guidance, they came to a very inconspicuous house in the city. However, under the house was the best training room. What was especially rare was that the training room was filled with the spiritual energy needed by the Divine Path cultivators. Suyu was moved. In the Lost Nation, where sorcery energy was rampant, it was not easy to find a land vein with spiritual energy. He could imagine how difficult it was for Cauldron to find this place. "Thank you for your hard work," Suyu said. Cauldron smiled. "It's my pleasure. The secret room is only part of my preparation. I have contacted the major stores in Fan Capital. If you need anything, I can get it ready for you as soon as possible through them. I will not delay your training." "Thank you." "You should thank the Saint Lady," Cauldron said. Entering the secret room, Suyu said, "I am not short of training resources, but I am short of information. If possible, please find out as much information as possible about the Azura Forbidden Lands in half a month. They are much more important than any training resources." Hearing this, Cauldron was surprised. The Azura Forbidden Lands? What was the point of asking about that place? Leave it to us. Shuang smiled calmly. Collecting information is a piece of cake for the wizard tribe. His hands formed seals as a wave of shaman energy gushed out from his body, and it transformed into various small and exquisite creatures like ants, moths, bugs, birds, and so on and so forth. They spread out in a dense mass and permeated towards every corner of the city to gather information. Suyu was relieved and closed the door of the secret room. Half a month later, the competition would take place in the Azura Forbidden Lands. With Suyu's current strength, he was not confident. The most troublesome thing was that he did not know what kind of competition the Chu clan would set. It would not be a competition. Chu Bawang was no match for him, so it should be a competition in other ways. However, the principle remained the same. Any competition was based on one's strength. Within half a month, he needed to improve his strength. After a moment of contemplation, Suyu sat cross-legged and silently meditated on the second style of the heaven-fighting three strokes, the ultimate style. The ultimate style was a higher level of fighting spirit based on the heaven-stomping style. It not only destroyed the sky, but also the ruler of the underworld. As long as there was life, the fighting spirit would be infinite until the ruler was destroyed. Chapter 14:12. The stars were shattered and all living things were wiped out. In the depths of the cold starry sky, a pair of cold eyes overlooked the silent world. At this moment, a sword, no, it was a knife, but it also looked like a spear, a sharp light that encompassed all weapons in the world pierced through the silent sky and slashed towards the cold eyes. A cold light flashed in the eyes, and the sharp light that attacked collapsed, and the body of the sword was torn apart. However, the split body of the sword immediately condensed into a long knife, and persevered and slashed forward. The eyes flashed again, and the long knife was broken. However, the sharp light was like an inextinguishable sun, and immediately condensed into a long spear, shooting straight forward. The power of the eyes was unpredictable, constantly smashing the sharp light, but the sharp light became stronger and stronger, as if there was no limit to it. Inch by inch, strand by strand, it approached his eyes. Finally, it pierced into the eyes and crushed them. As Suyu watched the scene quietly, he found it difficult to extricate himself from it. He was completely immersed in the never-ending fighting spirit. Endless life, endless fighting spirit, until the ruler was killed. This was the mystery of the limitless style. There was a glimmer of understanding in his heart, but Suyu could not understand it immediately. He always felt that something was missing, and he could not integrate the limitless style's fighting spirit into his body. What am I missing? Suyu was lost in thought. Half a month passed in a flash. His eyes were still open and he was still thinking. A thin layer of dust fell on his eyelashes. It was not until there was a movement outside the secret room that he woke up from his thoughts. He blinked, and the dust on his eyelashes shook off. Suyu sighed regretfully. After all, there is still something missing, and I can't reach the level of the limitless style. However, he had always liked to multitask. Although he had not fully understood the limitless style, he had been comprehending the divine paths. In half a month, he had successfully comprehended 1,000 divine paths, including the previous ones. He had a total of 4,000 divine paths. With 4,000 divine paths gathered together, the power that erupted was far greater than before. He got up and opened the stone door. Shuang and Cauldron were waiting outside. "It's time to go to the Chu clan," Shuang said. He took a jade slip from Cauldron's hand and handed it to Suyu. "This is what you wanted, information about the Azura Forbidden Lands." There were very few records of the Azura Forbidden Lands in the history of the wizard tribe. Suyu didn't know if it was deliberate or if it was a taboo, but he knew very little about it. The information collected by Cauldron was urgently needed by Suyu. He immediately immersed his mind into reading the information. As it turned out, the Shura forest was divided into 3 layers, separated by 3 layers of restrictions. The first layer was the outermost layer. It sealed many powerful ferocious beasts between the first and fourth firmament. There were also a small number of third firmament ferocious beasts. The second layer was the inner area, which was where Su Yu and Shui Ying had caught a glimpse of. It was filled with many powerful level 3 ferocious beasts, and even level 2 emperor-level ferocious beasts. As for the third layer, it was the core. There was a peerless ferocious creature sealed by the wizard ancestor himself. No one knew what it was exactly. If it was just a competition on the outskirts, there would be some risk, but it wouldn't be too great. However, one couldn't be careless either. In addition to the ferocious beasts, there was also a dangerous environment. Many highly poisonous creatures ran amok, and they had the ability to kill deities with a single blow. One had to be careful. Among them, the most notorious was an ancient spiritual worm called the Three Metamorphosis Worm. The toxicity of this worm was so strong that it could kill a level 3 wizard in an instant. The ancestors of the wizards had once ventured deep into the forest to explore. They were led by the temple masters of the 2 temples and the patriarchs of the 2 capitals. They were accompanied by no less than 10 strong level 3 wizards. The lineup was luxurious. In the end, they encountered a 3 metamorphosis worm. In a moment of carelessness, the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple was bitten, and he died immediately from the poison. The mistress of the greatest Saint Lady Temple, who had the strongest cultivation at that time, was also bitten. She used her strongest witchcraft to resist the poison and was brought out of the Forbidden Land alive. She was rescued by the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple in time. However, even the Lord of the Second Firmament could not save her. She died of the poison before the third night. That was how the 3 metamorphosis worm got its name. The horror of this worm was deeply ingrained in people's hearts. It was a pity that there were no detailed records of what this worm looked like. Instead, there were many rumors in the market, leading to all kinds of strange shapes and sizes. It was hard to believe which story to believe. After understanding so much, Su Yu felt a lot more at ease. He said, "Wait for me patiently. I will go alone for the competition." Shui Ying said, "All right." He knew that they would only be a burden if they went. Su Yu's concealment technique and escape technique were more than enough to protect himself. If he brought them along, they would only be a burden. He came to the Chu clan alone. The Chu clan was located in the center of the Fan capital, occupying the most prosperous area. The clan had a population of up to 100,000, and it could be said to be prosperous. The mansion was also exceptionally luxurious. Even the guards at the door were at the level of level 5 great wizards. Do you really think of yourself as the master of the Fan capital and make yourself king? Su Yu smiled faintly and walked up the stairs. "Stop!" The guard at the door shouted, "Who are you?" "Su Yu." The guard frowned. "I've never heard of you. Do you have an invitation?" "Haha, no." Su Yu's expression was indifferent. The guard's face was cold. "This is an important place in the Fan capital. Unauthorized people are not allowed to enter. Leave quickly." The challenge between Su Yu and Chu Bawang had spread like wildfire in the Saint capital. How could the Chu clan not know about it? Moreover, the 1-month deadline was today. The Chu clan must have known that Su Yu was coming today. How could they not warn the guard at the door? It was obvious that the guard was deliberately making things difficult for Su Yu. It was obvious that the Chu clan was deliberately making things difficult for him. They were trying to intimidate Su Yu and dispel his arrogance. Thinking about it, Su Yu came all the way here to compete, but he couldn't even enter the other party's door. Wouldn't that be a joke? "Then go and inform your master that I am here to visit," Su Yu said. The guard's face tightened and he said, "Who do you think you are? You can see the master whenever you want? You want to see him? There is only one way, and that is to wait." Su Yu said, "All right, I will come back later." "Humph. If you leave now, don't even think about coming back," the guard said again. Even if the guard informed the master, he wouldn't let Su Yu leave. He insisted that Su Yu wait here. Such obvious provocation could prove Su Yu's guess. Turning around, Su Yu said lightly, "What if I don't want to wait and I don't want to leave?" "Humph. This is the Chu clan. No matter who you are, you have to wait." Su Yu said, "Is that so? I think I can force my way in." "How dare you!" As soon as the guard shouted, he felt a gust of wind blowing in his ears, blowing him and the row of people away. They didn't even see how Su Yu attacked before they were blown away. Bang! A figure suddenly stopped in front of the door, and his pitch-black fist hit the door of the mansion. The door rumbled, but it didn't open. "Is it a seal?" Su Yu smiled faintly, while a golden light streaked across his palm. Then, a dazzling golden longsword appeared in his hand. With a flick of his wrist, the golden longsword struck the door effortlessly. Boom! With a loud noise, the seal failed to block the supreme sharpness of the golden flame's forbidden wood and shattered into countless pieces with a cracking sound. The giant door collapsed with a crash, splashing a cloud of dust. Su Yu put away the long sword and stepped inside leisurely. He said lightly, "Mr. Chu, you are in the door. I almost hurt you by mistake." When the dust dissipated, a young man with an embarrassed face was standing at the door of the mansion. It was Chu Bawang. He had been spying on Su Yu from inside the door, waiting to see him make a fool of himself. However, he didn't expect Su Yu to use such a brutal method to break open the door of the mansion. He didn't have time to leave and was bumped into by Su Yu. Chu Bawang said, "I just happened to be here, just in time." He felt guilty, but when he came to his senses, he was stunned. What was he guilty of? Damn it, Su Yu was the one who should feel guilty. He broke open the door of the Chu clan's mansion in such a way. Did he still have any respect for the Chu clan? He was about to interrogate Su Yu angrily, but Su Yu stared at him and said, "I didn't expect the door of the Chu clan to be so weak, and the seals laid out are too inferior. I just shook my hand a little, and it was broken. Mr. Chu, you don't mind, do you?" As he spoke, Su Yu patted him on the shoulder. Chu Bawang didn't dare to take a pat from Su Yu. He was so scared that he quickly stepped back and said anxiously, "No, it's okay, we can just change to another one." Su Yu's palm hit thin air, and the force of his palm hit the ground made of hard ore. As a result, a few cracks appeared on the ground. Chu Bawang's eyelids twitched wildly. He was angry and shocked. Was Su Yu really going to slap him to death? Fortunately, he was smart enough to react in time. Su Yu was surprised and said helplessly, "Hey, there have been some problems with my training recently, and my strength is unstable. Mr. Chu, please don't blame me." "No, I don't blame you at all." Chu Bawang smiled stiffly, but in his heart, he hated Su Yu to the core. "I'll let you be proud of yourself now, but once we enter the Azura Forbidden Lands, you will suffer. Come with me, my father and Ling Wu are already waiting for you." In the main hall of the living room, Chu Long was chatting cordially with Ling Wu. Ling Wu occasionally smiled, and his fingers stroked the space ring on his fingertips from time to time. His smile grew wider. Su Yu entered and found that this Ling Wu was not the same person as the last one. "You're here?" This is the third Ling Wu by the sect leader's side. He specializes in adjudication and is fair and honest. "You can't trust me, but you should trust him," Chu Long said with a smile. There were many Ling Wu by the sect leader's side. The previous old man in linen was in charge of investigating cases, and this one was in charge of adjudication and adjudication. The division of labor was clear. Fair and honest? Su Yu looked at the space ring on his finger and smiled, but didn't point it out. "We won't say anything unnecessary. Tell me all the rules of the competition, and we can start the competition," Su Yu said, pretending to be ignorant. Chu Long said, "Haha, everything is ready. The competition this time is about hunting ferocious beasts. Hunting a level 6 ferocious beast is worth 1 point, a level 5 ferocious beast is worth 3 points, a level 4 ferocious beast is worth 6 points, and a level 3 ferocious beast is worth 9 points. The time limit is half a month. When the time is up, the score will be calculated according to the score. Whoever has the highest score will be the winner. Su Yu wore an unsurprised look on his face as he asked, "So, this isn't a fight between individuals?" Chu Long said with a smile, "Hunting ferocious beasts can show the comprehensive qualities of both sides better than sparring." "Well, where will the ferocious beasts be hunted? Is it the Blackwood Forest?" Su Yu said. Chu Long and Chu Bawang looked at each other and cast a gloomy look at each other. Chu Long said with a smile, "Do we have a better place for the competition?" "Where?" "The Azura Forbidden Land." Su Yu's face stiffened, and a look of fear flashed across his face. He said in surprise, "Are you sure it's there?" Seeing this, the father and son felt the thrill of their conspiracy succeeding. Sure enough, even he was afraid of the place. That was the best place for the competition. Chu Bawang's eyes flashed with mockery. "Su Yu, oh Su Yu, just wait for your defeat. The sky-splitting yin-yang style that you have comprehended belongs to the Chu clan after all." Chapter 14:13. Chu Long said, "Yes, I know what you're worried about, but we're only hunting beasts in the first heaven. As long as we don't encounter those third heaven beasts, there shouldn't be any danger." After a pause, he smiled and said, "Moreover, with your strength, even if you encounter a few third heavenly layer beasts, they may not be able to do anything to you, right?" After hearing this, Su Yu felt a lot more at ease. He looked at Ling Wu and said, "Lord Ling Wu also thinks it is feasible?" Ling Wu looked impartial and said, "I am only responsible for supervising whether the content of the competition is fair and reasonable. You and Chu Bawang entered the first heaven together without any external assistance. It can be said to be very fair and reasonable. I can't say anything about it." Su Yu laughed secretly. Was it really fair? If nothing went wrong, the Chu clan must have made preparations in the relic, which was extremely beneficial to Chu Bawang. This spirit shaman pretended not to know anything about it. It could be seen that he had been bribed by the Chu clan to help them. "Since Ling Wu has no objections, I have no objections either," Su Yu said. Chu Long's face was full of smiles. "You've been walking for a long time. Do you need to take a break before you compete in killing dire beasts?" "No need. Let's go now." Chu Long smiled and said, "Okay, let's go." He solemnly took out a pitch-black token from his interspatial ring. The token was made of a very special material, and it actually emitted traces of the witch ancestor's aura. Moreover, the token should be extremely old, as it was filled with the aura of time. Although it looked old, it didn't have any intention of waving its sleeves. It was obvious that this item was extraordinary. There was a faint red dot on the token that was slowly moving. Chu Long's eyes followed the red light and looked off into the horizon. "It's over there. The Azura Forbidden Land has moved in that direction." He frowned and muttered, "Strange, why would the Azura Forbidden Land leave that area? Did something happen inside?" As the guardian of the Forbidden Land, Chu Long instinctively felt that some unknown changes might have taken place in the Forbidden Land that were enough to attract his, or even the sect leader's attention. But if that was the case, he would have to forfeit the competition. He was thinking about the sky-splitting yin-yang style, so he hesitated. The spirit shaman glanced at the token and said, "Is there anything wrong with it? If there's a need, it's better to temporarily stop the competition." Although he did not understand what the red dot meant, he clearly captured the subtle changes in Chu Long's expression. If there was a problem with the Azura Forbidden Land, then that would truly be a massive problem. Chu Long's heart skipped a beat. Give up the competition? How could that do? He had made a lot of preparations in the Azura Forbidden Land to ensure that Chu Bawang would win. He had no other way to guarantee Chu Bawang's victory if he gave up now. No problem. Chu Long quickly hid the expression on his face and forced himself to calm down. He summoned 4 wizard phoenixes, 1 for each of them. Ling Wu wanted to stop him, but the space ring on his finger was heavy. He hesitated for a moment and gave up trying to dissuade him. He thought to himself, I won't be so unlucky, right? The four of them quickly set off, riding on the witch phoenix as they tore through the sky. Half a day later, they arrived at the edge of the dark sky. Seeing this, Su Yu's expression changed slightly. If he remembered correctly, he saw the Azura Forbidden Land half a month ago, and it should be 7 or 8 days away from Fan Capital. In such a short period of time, they had actually moved to this place. They were only half a day away from Xiofan Capital. Su Yu had a very bad feeling about this unusual trajectory of movement. It seemed that the Azura Forbidden Land was consciously moving towards Fan Capital. What had happened in the Azura Forbidden Land? Chu Long's face was expressionless as he took out the token, which emitted a burst of black light that enveloped the four of them. Strangely enough, after being shrouded by the black light, the wizard phoenixes, which were originally extremely fearful, gradually calmed down, as if they were no longer afraid of the Azura Forbidden Land. They carried the four of them quickly and arrived directly below the Azura Forbidden Land. When they arrived and looked up, they could clearly see a spinning black vortex. In the vortex, red lightning constantly flashed, and it looked amazing. This is the entrance. The red lightning only poses a threat to living beings below the fifth heaven. You should be able to enter safely, said Chu Long. At the same time, he took out 2 identical grayish-black stones. This is a sensing stone. You must wear it on your body. The image of you killing the ferocious beasts will be recorded in it. When the time comes, we will use the ferocious beasts' skulls and images to determine whether the ferocious beasts were killed by you. This is also for the sake of fairness. When Su Yu heard this, he smiled coldly. This was specially prepared to prevent Su Yu from killing his precious son after entering the Azura Forbidden Land, right? Is there anything else? Su Yu asked. Chu Long smiled. No, but I hope you understand that this is just a competition. Although the competition is important, don't hurt the harmony. Chu Boang said, I know. What about you? Chu Long wanted to wait for Su Yu's response, but Su Yu looked indifferent, so he had to ask him himself. Su Yu glanced at the father and son and said lightly, It depends on how I feel. After saying that, he pointed his toes and flew into the vortex. A haze appeared in the depths of Chu Long's eyes, and he said in a low voice, Remember, if you meet Su Yu inside, do not argue with him, lest you give him an excuse to attack. I know. Chu Bawang was bitter. He would not dare to cause trouble for Su Yu. Listening to Su Yu's tone just now, it was clear that he did not intend to compete properly. If he met Su Yu, he would not even have time to escape. How would he dare to argue with him? In addition, after entering, immediately find a few elders in the clan. They should have captured those level 3 ferocious beasts for you in advance. You should prioritize killing them, and the victory of this trip is basically in your hands. Chu Bawang's eyes flashed, and he sneered coldly. Humph, with the heads of those 5 level 3 ferocious beasts, my score can reach more than 45 points, and I will be invincible. Unless Su Yu kills all the level 1 ferocious beasts, there is no hope of a comeback. Father, wait for my good news. Chu Long watched his son enter, full of hope, and whispered softly, Even if you don't win, you will never lose. A fierce and ruthless look flashed in his eyes. Swish. After a moment of dizziness, Su Yu landed on a dark, damp, and gloomy land. Shaking his body, Su Yu clenched his fists, and the 2 remaining red thunderbolts were crushed by his palms. The red thunderbolts are not weak. Deities of level 5 and below, if they touch them, will be seriously injured, if not dead. Su Yu said, If there is a chance, I can take some back and leave them for the creatures of the Jojo continent. After a few murmurs, there was a sudden slight sound of something breaking through the air. Without thinking, Su Yu rolled up his sleeves, and a gust of wind wrapped around his body. Whoosh, whoosh. A mass of pitch-black liquid was swept away by the whirlwind and splashed into the mud. As a result, the liquid was like cold water falling into boiling oil. The mud tumbled violently and suddenly exploded, spraying in all directions, leaving a deep pit in the ground. Suyu fixed his eyes on it and saw an inconspicuous frog lying under a tree behind him. Its whole body was turquoise and its eyes were dark red. Its cultivation was less than the realm of mortal fairy. It was the liquid that it sprayed out, which contained a shocking amount of poison. Suyu was surprised. With such a cultivation, it has a poison that can kill a level 6 deity? Although he was surprised, Suyu did not show any mercy. A divine power slashed over and crushed the frog. However, as soon as the frog died, Suyu suddenly found that under the tree where the frog was, there was a fist-sized, dark hole. Inside, a pair of dark red eyes stared at Suyu. "There is another nest?" Suyu said, preparing to eliminate it. Suddenly, in the soil under his feet, another one drilled out, staring at him coldly with dark red blood eyes, spitting a pitch-black liquid from its mouth. Suyu waved his hand and smashed it. After thinking about it, his eyes turned pale, and he glanced into the depths of the ground. Suddenly, his scalp went numb. This swamp area, under the mud, was densely packed with this kind of frog nest. There were so many of them, and they were so densely distributed that it made people uncomfortable. Suyu immediately rose into the air, away from the ground, and headed towards a huge mountain in the distance. What he didn't know was that shortly after he left, the huge swamp rolled, and from the mud, a giant frog the size of a hill emerged. Its eyes were not only dark red, but they also contained spiritual intelligence, making it look exceptionally ferocious. What was even more surprising was that it was proficient in the human language. Ha ha ha, this is really interesting. People from the outside world have broken in at this time. I really pity them. After saying that, the huge body turned into a slender middle-aged man with green skin and black lip. A long scarlet tongue stuck out from his mouth, staring in the direction of Suyu, revealing a pitiful sneer. Suyu seemed to feel something and suddenly glanced behind him. In the end, he only caught a flash of green. What was that just now? Suyu trusted his eyes. Since he saw the green light, it meant that there must have been some kind of creature there just now. His heart trembled. With such a fast speed, I'm afraid it was a level 3 ferocious beast? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but be a little more careful. Originally, he was about to set foot on the mountain, but he gave up at the last minute and chose to take a detour to avoid it. Standing in the distance, Suyu used the heavenly eye to observe the mountain from afar. With the heavenly eye, everything on the mountain was clear. It was an extremely strange tree. Its whole body was straight and incomparably black. It had neither branches nor leaves, just growing straight and pointy. That was not all. What made Suyu horrified was that there were 5 bloody heads at the top of the mountain. Those were the heads of the wizard tribesmen. Their heads were stuck on 5 sharp wooden stakes at the top of the mountain, and their faces still showed the horror from when they were alive. How could the wizard tribesmen appear here? Suyu was extremely shocked. Are they people who came here to explore, or are they from the Chu clan? What made Suyu even more shocked was that, judging from the aura left on their bodies, they were at least level 3 super strong men. Their cultivation bases formed a strong contrast with their bloody heads. Suyu was secretly surprised. What happened to them? Even though Suyu's strength was extraordinary, he was far from being able to compete with 5 strong men of level 3. Moreover, all 5 of them were killed in the same way. Suddenly, the heavenly eye seemed to have discovered something. Its pupils shrank sharply, and it magnified the image at the top of the mountain. Chapter 14:14. Suddenly, a dark claw stretched out from the ground. The claw gently waved, and a crack appeared in the space here. Immediately afterward, the creature sat up from the ground. It was a blood-red, humanoid creature, but covered with dark scales, with a face like a ghost. A pair of dark red blood eyes revealed a terrifying ferocity. It raised its head and looked coldly at the heavenly eye in the sky. The corners of its mouth cracked, revealing a grin. Swish! The next moment its blood-red figure disappeared, and in the blink of an eye, it appeared in the endless sea. The dark claw tore at the heavenly eye. Whoosh! The heavenly eye was split into two. Su Yu's eyes stung, and he quickly closed them. He was horrified and immediately left the place, using the fragment of law to restrain his breath. His movements were extremely fast. Almost as soon as he left, the blood-red figure crossed a distance of 50 to 60 million mountains and rivers and teleported to the place where Su Yu stood. Its nose sniffed in the air and did not find Su Yu's breath. Its dark red blood eyes showed a touch of doubt. Su Yu, who was hundreds of millions of miles away, reluctantly opened his stinging eyes and hid in a dry mountain rock. What kind of creature is that? Su Yu was secretly shocked. It easily broke the heavenly eye. Even the mistress of the greatest Saint Lady Temple would find it difficult to achieve such power. First, it was the Cyan Shadow, then the Blood-Red Demon, and the heads of the 5 Level 3 wizards. Su Yu's foreboding grew stronger. I can't stay here for long. I need to kill a few Level 4 monsters as soon as possible and leave this place quickly. Years of experience told Su Yu that the Azura Forbidden Lands were dangerous places. Although he did not know how it usually was, he could not stay in the Azura Forbidden Lands for long. Clang! Ha! At that moment, Su Yu suddenly heard the sound of fighting and shouting. The sound was a bit familiar. Su Yu lurked and stood in the distance to watch. The scene in front of him shocked Su Yu. A huge octopus, 1,000,000 feet long, was in a lake, fighting with a young white-robed figure nearby. Su Yu actually knew the white-robed figure, Wang Qingchen. Su Yu almost thought that he had recognized the wrong person. How could he meet him in the Azura Forbidden Lands? At this moment, he was entangled and unable to escape. More than half of the witch tribe's props were damaged, and a sturdy boat that was crossing the lake was smashed into pieces by the octopus. Wang Qingchen's clothes were torn, and he looked embarrassed. His wizard power was depleted, and his face was pale with exhaustion. It seemed that he could not hold on any longer. On the other hand, the 8-tentacled octopus had its back against the lake, absorbing the power in the water and attacking from afar continuously. Wang Qingchen had no way to fight, but he also had no way to retreat. Wang Qingchen was forced to stay here. It seemed that they had been fighting for some time. A third firmament fierce beast? Su Yu's eyes lit up. The breath of this octopus was weaker than that of the green and blood-red creatures. If he could catch him off guard, he might be able to kill his first prey. Su Yu had always been decisive, and a few possibilities quickly appeared in his mind. After some thought, Su Yu restrained his breath and his figure, quietly jumped off the rock, and slowly walked towards the octopus. The octopus was immersed in the fun of playing with Wang Qingchen, and did not notice that someone other than Wang Qingchen was approaching. Wang Qingchen was like a lamp that had run out of oil. He operated the little wizard power in his body and fought hard. Clone transformation spell. His whole body was filled with wizard power, and his body turned into hundreds of phantoms, fleeing in different directions. This was his last fight. However, the octopus showed an anthropomorphic sneer. 8 giant claws were raised at the same time, sweeping in all directions. Puff, puff, puff. All the phantoms that were swept away were shattered in an instant. One of the phantoms was swept away, but it was not destroyed. Instead, it was smashed away. The octopus showed a sneer in its eyes, retracted its other 7 tentacles, and slammed them down fiercely. Wang Qingchen was flying backward, and he was at the end of his rope. Seeing the 8 tentacles that covered the sky, like a mountain, smash down and crushed him, he could not help but smile bitterly and close his eyes in despair. Maybe this is my fate. He wanted to hone himself in the Azura Forbidden Lands, but half a month ago, there was an earthquake in the Azura Forbidden Lands. After that, he found that the Azura Forbidden Lands were 100 times more dangerous than before. All the ferocious beasts seemed to have been reborn and mutated. Any small ferocious beast he encountered had deadly toxins. Last time, he encountered a level 4 ferocious beast, and he thought he could easily deal with it. Who knew that the ferocious beast was so powerful that he had to use 80% of his strength to kill it? After several similar experiences, Wang Qingchen had a hunch that he was in an extremely dangerous situation. After thinking about it, he decided to temporarily suspend his cultivation and return to the family to report the situation in the Azura Forbidden Lands. Unexpectedly, when he passed by this lake, he was entangled by the level 3 octopus hiding in the lake. He could not win and wanted to retreat, but he was entangled. The two sides fought for half a day, and Wang Qingchen was exhausted. Now, he could not hold on any longer and was about to be killed here. Smiling bitterly in his heart, Wang Qingchen closed his eyes in despair. But at this moment an extremely fierce fighting spirit, like a volcanic eruption, suddenly descended. The fighting spirit seemed to come from the time and space of 10,000 years ago, eternal and inextinguishable, destroying the sky. This fighting spirit. Wang Qingchen suddenly opened his eyes, and could not believe his own perception. He thought to himself, could it be an illusion before I die? How did Su Yu come here? However, with a familiar light shout, Wang Qingchen finally woke up. Heaven trampling 3-step. Boom! A loud noise that shook the sky came, and Su Yu suddenly launched an extremely fierce attack. The octopus was caught off guard and was hit by the heaven-trampling 3-step. Its huge body collapsed, and half of its body was crushed by this foot. 4 of the 8 huge tentacles on its body were broken, and even its head exploded. This blow could be described as a fatal blow, and it was extremely successful. However, the octopus did not die. Its broken body was full of vitality, and it squirmed and reassembled itself. In particular, the head, which was the most vital part, quickly recovered, leaving only the body that was still healing. Wang Qingchen was shocked and quickly reminded, "Brother Su, be careful. This beast's body is almost indestructible, and any injury can be healed in an instant." He had suffered such a loss before. It was not easy to cut off a tentacle, and in the end, the tentacle either regenerated or healed. Su Yu revealed his figure and was also surprised. After being seriously injured by the sneak attack, the octopus's dark red blood-colored eyes were no longer playful, and a look of anger emerged. Its giant head turned abruptly and glared at Su Yu. It then waved its 8 giant claws, which seemed as if they were covering the sky and the earth. Su Yu's eyes narrowed, and with a wave of his robe, 9 golden suns quickly rose into the sky, going against the 8 huge tentacles. Poof! Poof! The tentacles met the golden sun and were all cut off immediately. But the strange thing was that the tentacles regenerated at an amazing speed. Su Yu controlled the 9 suns' sword formation and quickly slashed. Every time he slashed, he could cut off several tentacles. But the opponent's regeneration speed was amazing. If this continued, he would end up like Wang Qingchen, being entangled and wasting his strength. His eyes turned, and the 9 suns suddenly shook off the 8 tentacles. However, Su Yu did not retreat. Instead, under Wang Qingchen's surprised gaze, he advanced. The octopus was also surprised for a while, but its eyes quickly showed a grin. Was it courting death to approach it? It opened its mouth and spat out a mouthful of black mist from its huge mouth, obscuring Su Yu's sight. Taking this opportunity, the 8 tentacles retracted and struck Su Yu coldly. However, Su Yu suddenly concealed his figure and aura, disappearing without a trace. The octopus pounced on empty air, and its dark red blood eyes narrowed, looking for Su Yu. Swoosh! At this time, Wang Qingchen, who had fallen into the water, was suddenly pulled up by something invisible and flew away from the lake. The octopus's eyes flashed with anthropomorphic playfulness, as if saying, "I knew you would save me." A tentacle, ready to strike, slammed in that direction with an earth-shattering force. The force was so great that it gathered all the power of the octopus, and it was a fatal blow. Under the powerful force, Suyu also revealed his figure. However, not only was there no panic on his face, but there was a human-like smile on his face. The octopus was extremely intelligent, and it speculated something from Suyu's expression. Its dark red blood eyes hurriedly glanced at the black mist under it. Through the black mist, he discovered that the lake around it had turned into a rainbow color at some point. The multicolored lake water quickly spread throughout the entire lake, dyeing the entire lake in 7 colors. The lake water boiled, and countless ferocious beasts in the water were poisoned to death. Their white bellies floated up. The huge body of the octopus, immersed in the water, quickly dissolved. Although it could regenerate quickly, the speed of regeneration was far slower than the speed of dissolution. "You put poison in the water!" the octopus shouted angrily. It finally knew why Suyu did not retreat but instead advanced. It was to poison the water near it. It waved its 8 tentacles and hurriedly climbed out of the water. Wang Qingchen was overjoyed. This octopus uses water as a weapon, and it can absorb the power of the water at any time to regenerate. Brother Su has forced it out of the water. It can be said that it has broken its foundation. It will be much easier to kill it now. Ha ha! Lowly creature! Do you think it is so easy to kill me? I have informed the other 4 generals, and they will come soon. The octopus spoke in the human language and laughed out loud. Even if I leave the water, I can hold on until they come. Them? Suyu's first thought was of the green light and the blood-red creature. Wang Qingchen's face changed dramatically. There are 4 other mutated creatures like you? Haha. Mutated? We just regained our original strength. Ants, prepare to die. When they come, you will die without a burial place. The octopus said viciously. Wang Qingchen's heart tightened, and his eyes became serious. Suyu looked calm and said, "Is that so? I think it is you who will die without a burial place." "What do you mean?" the octopus asked suspiciously. Suyu raised his hand and took back the 9 golden flames forbidden wood swords. He said lightly, "Do you think I only poisoned the lake?" Chapter 14-15. What? The 8-clawed octopus was shocked, and its dark red eyes showed a look of horror. Wisps of 7-colored light gradually seeped out of his skin, rotting his body from the inside out. It turned out that as early as Wang Qingchen reminded Suyu that the octopus could regenerate infinitely, Suyu had already planned to secretly smear the 9 suns sword formation with the venom of the 7-colored demon toad. When the 9 suns sword formation cut through the tentacles of the octopus, it quickly regenerated, but the venom in the wound was also integrated into its body. Perhaps the poison on 1 sword was not enough to kill Suyu, and 2 were not enough either. But what about 9? In order to prevent the octopus from waking up early, Suyu attracted its attention in other ways until the venom finally took effect. Chi. The body of the octopus quickly decayed, turning into a mass of dark, stinky liquid. As the voice fell, the octopus roared again and again, "You are a creature that has been forced, I will not." As soon as the voice fell, a sword light suddenly circled around its huge neck. The giant head fell to the ground and was caught by Suyu with a space ring. At the same time, Suyu used the Milky Way star sand to purify the venom of the 7-colored demon toad in the huge body and separate the body of the octopus. Its body stopped decaying, and then the sword light in Suyu's palm shredded its huge body into pieces. Blood rose to the sky, and Suyu used a vessel to collect all the blood in it. Compared with the blood of level 6, the blood of the level 3 realm was not only full of energy but also several levels of purity, but even the color was different. The blood of the level 3 realm was no longer golden, but had a faint grayish-white color. Suyu remembered that he had obtained a drop of pure white blood from the body of the book deity. Now that he thought about it, the color of the blood became whiter as the cultivation progressed. He was collecting the divine blood as if nothing had happened, but Wang Qingchen on the side was already stunned. He was almost dragged to death by the 8-tentacled octopus, but Su Yu killed the octopus neatly and efficiently in no time. The gap between them made Wang Qingchen feel bitter. He wanted to come to the Azura Forbidden Land to hone himself, and when his cultivation was successful, he would come out and compete with Su Yu. He did not expect that Su Yu would save his life while he was training. "Brother Wang, we shouldn't stay here for long. This beast said that he has 4 other companions who are on their way here," Su Yu said. Only then did Wang Qingchen come back to his senses. "Brother Su is right. Let's leave quickly. I know a safe place to hide for the time being." Half a day later, they were hiding in the belly of a mountain. The entrance was in the river at the foot of the mountain. If Wang Qingchen had not accidentally fallen into the river, it would have been difficult to find such a hidden mountain. There were traces of life in the belly of the mountain, but it was a very long time ago. This place belongs to the Magi. It's very likely that it's the hiding place of the masters of the 2 capitals who were the first to explore the Azura Forbidden Land. Wang Qingchen pointed to the blurry engravings on the wall. "These witchcraft are the inherited witchcraft that only the 4 rulers can know." As Su Yu looked over, he discovered the sky flipping style, which he was extremely familiar with. According to the records, in the past when the 4 of them entered the Azura Forbidden Land to explore, they had accidentally encountered a 3-watch insect. The current lord of the Holy Saint Temple had fallen, and the mistress of the greatest Saint Lady Temple had also died. Could it be that this was where they used to hide? Su Yu glanced at the witchcraft briefly, then looked away indifferently. Wang Qingchen's eyes lit up. "Brother Su, you don't seem to be interested in the witchcraft of the wizard tribe. Ordinary people know that this is the inherited witchcraft left behind by the 4 supreme figures. Who wouldn't be tempted by it? Brother Wang, you don't have to test my intentions. I am not here to snatch anything from you. I am here to fulfill my promise with Chu Bawang, to hunt down ferocious beasts." Su Yu looked around and said, "However, it seems that we have come at the wrong time. The first level of the Azura Forbidden Land is far more dangerous than before." Wang Qingchen breathed a sigh of relief and said, "To tell you the truth, Brother Su, I came to the Azura Forbidden Land for life and death training. In the training plan, there is a ruin that I want to explore. I have no intention of guarding against Brother Su." Su Yu was silent. He did not care where the ruin he was going to go. His attitude made Wang Qingchen feel that he was being too pretentious. If Su Yu was a greedy person, why would he have saved him just now? "That ruin is the place where the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple fell." The other 3 supreme figures left in a hurry and did not take care of the remains of the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple. Wang Qingchen said, "It is said that the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple carried a vital seal with him at that time. It has great power, and even the leader had to pay attention to it. Because the situation was critical at the time, the seal was not retrieved in time." Su Yu was surprised. A seal that even the leader paid attention to? If it is so important, why didn't the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple send someone to look for it? Wang Qingchen shook his head. The 3 supreme figures did not leave the specific address of the ruin. They only said that the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple was killed at the place where he encountered the 3 metamorphosis worm. "Then, did you find that talisman?" Su Yu asked. Wang Qingchen smiled faintly. "I found the ruin, but the seal is missing." Su Yu got up and looked around. He was surprised. "The ruin you mentioned, do you mean here?" Wang Qingchen said, "I didn't believe it at first, but after seeing this stone, I believe it." He took out a large crystal-colored stone tablet from the space ring. The stone tablet was engraved with wizard tribe words. The content of the words was left by the ancestors of the Wang clan, and it recorded their encounter here. This stone tablet was a tombstone that they hurriedly erected for the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple. Su Yu took the crystal stone tablet, and his eyes lit up. "Since this is the burial place of the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple, where is his body?" Wang Qingchen said, "This is also what I am curious about. The strength of the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple at that time was so strong that his remains should not have decayed. The two of them looked at each other and saw the surprise in each other's eyes. Where was the body of the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple? Suddenly, Su Yu looked at the crystal tablet in his palm, and his eyes showed a thoughtful light. After thinking for a while, he said, "Can you give this tablet to me?" Wang Qingchen was stunned and said, "This tablet is of no value. If Brother Su likes it, you can take it. It is to repay Brother Su for saving my life." "Then I won't stand on ceremony," Su Yu said. Suddenly, Su Yu felt a chill run through his body, and he immediately kept quiet. Wang Qingchen understood and looked up at the sky, feeling uneasy. A terrifying aura was approaching, right at the top of this mountain. On the top of the mountain, two figures, one green and one red, flashed. The green figure was middle-aged, and the red figure was badly mutilated, like a monster. To be able to kill the fifth brother in a short time and quickly escape from our pursuit, it is by no means an ordinary master. Brother Blood Demon, could it be that the leader of the wizard tribe noticed us and showed up in person? The Blood Demon was the ferocious blood-red creature, and his dark red blood eyes were filled with a bloodthirsty light. He said in a hoarse voice, "No, if it was him, he would not look for the fifth brother, nor would he look for us. He would look for the master directly." The green figure nodded thoughtfully. "Brother Blood Demon is right. It is all thanks to those idiots of the wizard tribe who changed the seal without authorization, giving the master a chance to escape. As long as we buy enough time, it will be time for the Shura world to return to the world." Chapter 14:16. But if the one who killed the fifth was not the leader of the wizard tribe, then who was it? According to the memories we obtained from the soul search, there are less than 5 or 6 people in the wizard tribe with such strength, the green figure said. The Blood Demon snorted coldly, and his dark red eyes flashed fiercely. "It should be the 2 geniuses of the wizard tribe who are going to compete in the Azura Forbidden Lands. You can get 9 points for killing our 3rd heavenly layer creatures." Hearing this, the green figure said coldly, "Using the creatures of the Azura world as prey, since ancient times, it has been the Azura world that hunts other creatures. These 2 people are really reckless. No matter why they hunted the fifth, now is the time for the master to come out of seclusion, and there must be no accidents. Mobilize all the creatures in the Azura Forbidden Lands to search for them, and we must eliminate them." The Blood Demon shouted. The hoarse voice spread in all directions, and suddenly the nearby beasts moved, searching everywhere for the whereabouts of Su Yu and the others. Swish! The 2 breaths went far away, and the Blood Demon and the green figure swept into the distance, not paying attention to the inconspicuous mountain under their feet. In the belly of the mountain, Wang Qingchen was horrified, and his voice trembled a little. What kind of existence are those 2 creatures? Especially one of them is particularly evil. Su Yu briefly recounted what he had seen and heard in the Forbidden Lands. After listening, Wang Qingchen's eyes were solemn. "I am afraid that we have to withdraw from this trial. The beasts that have mutated are far from what we can match." Mutated? Su Yu's eyebrows twitched as he recalled the time when he encountered the Azura Forbidden Lands and saw the sky full of dragon-shaped creatures. He couldn't help but realize that the Azura Forbidden Lands had indeed changed. Wang Qingchen said, "Half a month ago, I sensed that the prohibition in the Forbidden Land had changed. Then, from the source of the first layer of sky, an extremely evil wave radiated. Wherever the wave swept through, all the creatures in the area changed. Their eyes gradually turned red, their temperament became tyrannical, and they suddenly developed natural instincts, such as the sudden increase in physical strength, the sudden addition of the ability to hide, the ability to transform, and so on." Su Yu remembered a group of little frogs he had encountered, which carried a poison that did not match their cultivation. If he was not mistaken, the poison should have been caused by the mutation. "Brother Su, this matter should not be delayed. Leave this place immediately, Or else the danger will be unpredictable, Wang Qingchen said anxiously. Suyu squinted his eyes and said, I'm sorry, but I don't plan to leave for the time being. The outcome of this competition is very important to me. If Brother Wang wants to leave, then please hurry up. After thinking about it, Wang Qingchen sighed. Fine, I will help Brother Su kill as many beasts as possible and win the competition. He continued, according to the rules, although outsiders are not allowed to help capture and kill the beasts, it shouldn't be a problem to help Brother Su point out where there are more beasts, right? I've been in the Azura Forbidden Land for over half a month now and I'm familiar with most of the terrain as well as many vicious beast lairs. Hearing this, Su Yu's eyes lit up. Having Wang Qingchen as a guide could improve efficiency. Thank you, Su Yu said. Wang Qingchen smiled bitterly. I did this in the hope that Brother Su could protect me from disaster. Now, not only had the ferocious beasts mutated, there were even two extremely terrifying unknown ferocious beasts that had appeared. Coupled with the fact that most of the wizard tribe's tools in his possession had been used up, and even his wizard energy was extremely scarce, how could he dare to walk alone in the forbidden area? Following Su Yu was the safest choice. Brother Wang, you are too modest. We are just helping each other. How can we talk about protection? Su Yu smiled lightly. Wang Qingchen laughed. Brother Su, you are the one who is modest. Well, I know a few places where there are groups of ferocious beasts, but there is one that is the most suitable for Brother Su. Where? The source of the mutation, the junction between the level 1 and level 2, Wang Qingchen said. Su Yu's eyes lit up. There, Wang Qingchen said, after the strange fluctuations occurred, I went to investigate and found that there were a dozen level 4 ferocious beasts living there. With Brother Su's absolute strength, it would not be difficult to kill them. In this case, Brother Su can get 60 to 70 points and be invincible. Hearing this, Su Yu was tempted. Okay, let's go and have a look. 2 days later, they went straight to the source of the mutation. Along the way, Su Yu noticed the eyes of the ferocious beasts many times. It was not covetous, but more like surveillance. A bad feeling welled up in his heart and he whispered softly, I must finish this quickly. Brother Su, it is just ahead. Wang Qingchen pointed to a whirlpool in the sky. This whirlpool was exactly the same as the whirlpool of the Azura Forbidden Lands seen by the outside world. The difference was that it was no longer filled with red thunder that did not hurt or itch, but a terrible, burning flame. The flames were terrible. Not to mention Su Yu, even if the Moonwatch sect leader came in person, he would immediately be burned to ashes. That is the level 2 seal of the Azura Forbidden Lands. It is said that there are 30 vicious level 3 natural spirits sealed inside, Wang Qingchen said with a relaxed expression. Fortunately, they are sealed and cannot go out to harm the lost nation. Su Yu thought to himself. There were more than 30 sealed in the level 2 seal. The number was immeasurable. At least, it would be easy to destroy the lost nation. Under that whirlpool, there was a group of level 4 duckbill beasts. The mutation first affected them, making them proficient in the special ability of invisibility. Therefore, it is not easy to kill them in the past, Wang Qingchen said. Su Yu looked into the distance. Sure enough, in the silver lake under the whirlpool, he could see groups of duck-billed small beasts that appeared and disappeared from time to time. Sure enough, they are proficient in the art of invisibility, Su Yu whispered. Brother Wang, wait here for a moment. I will be back soon. After saying that, Su Yu hid his figure and breath and quickly disappeared in front of Wang Qingchen. The next moment, a breeze blew by the lake and the reeds fluttered gently. An invisible figure quietly approached the lake. Then, a stream of colorful liquid poured into the silver lake silently. The 18 level 4 duckbill beasts were unaware and were still looking for food in the silver lake, until one of the duckbill beasts suddenly screamed. Its feet, which were immersed in the water, were rotting. Under severe pain, the duckbill beast fluttered its huge wings and hurriedly flew into the void. because of the decay of its body. Although they were invisible, the dripping blood immediately exposed its position. Then, the rest of the duckbill beasts were hit one after another. One by one, they flew into the air with their lower bodies rotting. Su Yu's eyes lit up. 9 golden lights circled in his palm. He was about to sacrifice the 9 suns' sword formation and kill them in one fell swoop while they were unprepared. But at that moment, a gray force flashed and killed one of the duckbill beasts. Its death immediately alerted the rest of the duckbill beasts, and they scattered in all directions. Moreover, they cooperated with each other very methodically. 14 of them fled while the other 4 stayed behind. Their dark red eyes stared coldly at the surroundings, ready to block sneak attacks for their companions at any time. Chapter 14:17. He successfully ambushed a duckbill beast and was overjoyed. He immediately released several streams of wizard energy and chased after the rest of the duckbill beasts. As Su Yu had expected, the 4 duckbill beasts immediately sacrificed themselves to cover for their companions as soon as they discovered the enemy attack. Poof! 4 more duckbill beasts were beheaded, but the rest of the duckbill beasts took the opportunity to escape and scatter in all directions. It was impossible to kill them again. This person's actions could be said to have completely ruined Su Yu's entire plan. Hee, although I didn't find the level 3 ferocious beasts that those old guys left for me, I have harvested so many level 4 ferocious beasts. I'm afraid Su Yu won't be so lucky. Su Yu sneered. He had been wondering who had taken advantage of the situation, but it turned out to be Chu Baoang. Just as Su Yu was about to show up and surprise Chu Baoang, suddenly, Su Yu's heart skipped a beat, and he hid his almost exposed breath and figure again. Humph! I really caught a big fish. The hoarse voice of the blood demon resounded over the silver lake without warning. Beside him, a green figure followed him like a shadow. Chu Baoang was taken aback and looked up, his eyes shining. A level 3 ferocious beast? Or 2? He licked his lips, thought for a while, and sneered. The heavens have pity on me. I couldn't find you, but you came to me yourself. Chu Baoang had the qualifications to despise ordinary level 3 divine spirits, but unfortunately, the one standing in front of him was not an ordinary level 3 divine spirit. Dragon Binding Curse. Chu Baoang suddenly made a move, and an extremely powerful inherited wizard technique was suddenly displayed, heading straight for the blood demon and the green figure. The blood demon crossed his arms, his ferocious face unfazed. The green figure on the side had a hint of playfulness in his eyes. If I hadn't regained the power of Azura, I would still be afraid of the wizard tribe, but now, his green fist pointed into the air, and the wizard power ripples seemed to have met their nemesis. They quickly subsided, and eventually disappeared without a trace. How is that possible? Chu Baoang was shocked. After turning his eyes, he immediately turned to escape. However, just as he was about to escape, a huge duck's beak suddenly emerged from the water. As if it was eating a small fish, it caught Chu Baoang in its mouth. At this moment, a huge duckbill beast that was 10 times the size of the 4th heavenly layer duckbill beast emerged from the water. Its crimson eyes became even colder, and the feathers on its body were as hard as steel. It held Chu Baoang firmly in its mouth. No matter how Chu Baoang used his sorcery power to attack the duckbill beast, it had no effect. The green figure retracted his fist and chuckled. 4th brother is still the best. Wizard power is useless against you. In terms of the power of Azura, only Boss Blood Demon can compare to you. The duckbill beast threw Chu Baoang on the ground. His body was covered with a layer of sticky mucus, which trapped him inside and prevented him from escaping. The dark red eyes of the duckbill beast did not look at them. Instead, it looked around and said in a low voice, "You've caught the wrong person. This kind of trash can't possibly kill old 5. It's not him?" The cyan figure was startled. Blood Demon also had a ferocious look in his eyes. He shook his head and said in a hoarse voice, "It's not him." He doesn't have the scent of old Five's blood on him. That shouldn't be the case. We have mobilized the creatures in the Azura Forbidden Lands to search for the person who killed old Five. We did find a suspicious person who went straight to the entrance of the second level of heaven and set up an ambush here. Why didn't he come? The cyan figure said. Blood Demon and the duckbill beast glanced around, and a trace of tyrannical killing intent slowly fluctuated. Blood Demon sneered. Who told you that he didn't come? Duckbill Beast also said, he is here. The poison in the Silver Lake was planted by him. He is still nearby. Swish. At that moment, a gray figure flashed above the lake, bringing with it a series of whirlwinds. It was a creature with an eagle's head and a human body. Its lower body was that of a human, and its upper body was that of an eagle. It was holding a person in its mouth. Who else could it be but Wang Qingchen? Wang Qingchen's abdomen was torn by the giant claws, and his injuries were extremely serious. Suyu was horrified. With Wang Qingchen's combat power, he was injured so badly in such a short time. Looking at the situation, it seemed that he did not put up much resistance. This giant eagle, is he the one you are looking for? The giant eagle dropped Wang Qingchen and opened its mouth. Hearing this, the green figure and the duckbill beast stepped forward together and said, Second brother is still the best. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the aureole behind. The four mutant beasts surrounded Wang Qingchen and looked at him. Blood Demon's eyes flashed slightly. Well, yes, he has the breath of fifth brother's blood on him. It should be him. Duckbill Beast echoed, this person is cunning. If it were not for second brother's surveillance from above, I am afraid he would have escaped. The green figure said, the murderer has been caught. How should we deal with them? Everyone looked at Blood Demon, their big brother. Blood Demon looked up at the vortex in the sky and said, the seal needs to be lifted urgently. The cultivation of these two people is considered good among the wizards. The power of their blood should help to speed up the unlocking of the seal. It is best to use them as blood sacrifices. As he spoke, Blood Demon grabbed the two people and flew into the depths of the vortex with the three ferocious beasts. In the blink of an eye, the group disappeared without a trace. After a long time, Suyu still did not move, nor did he reveal any breath. Until half a day later, he was still like a rock, without the slightest movement. But at this moment, not far from where Suyu stood, the duckbill beast appeared from its invisibility. It glanced around doubtfully. Did I sense wrongly? I clearly sensed that there was a momentary fluctuation of breath in the vicinity. You must be thinking too much. In the vortex, a giant eagle swooped down. Its sharp eyes seemed to be able to capture all the subtle movements. At this time, Blood Demon and the green figure also flew down from the vortex. The green figure said, it seems that there is really no one else. We have been thinking too much. In that case, let's go, Blood Demon said, and together with the other three ferocious beasts, they really entered the vortex. Not long after, a breeze blew, but Suyu still did not move. After a few hours, there was a soft sigh in the air. Let's go, there is really no one else. Half an hour later, Suyu's figure appeared, and his eyes were solemn. A group of cunning ferocious beasts. Twice in a row they pretended to leave, but in fact they were secretly lying in ambush to lure the people in hiding. Fortunately, Suyu was patient enough to not be fooled. However, looking at the vortex above, Suyu hesitated for a moment, then followed suit. He had promised to keep Wang Qingchen safe. Now that he was in trouble, Suyu could not just stand by and watch. There was another universe inside the vortex, unlike the vortex of the first level of heaven. Inside this vortex there was a space of its own. It was a huge, undulating labyrinth. Above the labyrinth there was a layer of blood-red light curtain, which seemed to block the top of the sky. Indistinctly, pitch-black dragon shadows were reflected on the blood-red light screen as they swiftly swam past. Chapter 14:18. As for the labyrinth below, he had no idea what it was. The labyrinth was shrouded in dense fog, and the paths were intricate. The strangest thing was that due to the influence of the blood-red light curtain, one could not fly. They could only find their way in the labyrinth like ordinary people. Suyu tried to use his transparent eye, but he was restricted by the blood-red light curtain above, and could not see through the labyrinth's route map. After a moment of contemplation, Suyu's mind moved, and the evil god appeared in front of him. Wakaka, boy, you've fallen into a big opportunity again. This seal is really big. I'm afraid it can seal a level 2 super strong man, right? The evil god took a look at the seal and knew that it was extraordinary. Suyu said, "Cut the crap, my friend has been taken away, and I need you to find the scent and lead the way in the labyrinth." The evil god raised his head, put his hands on his hips, and said proudly, "Boy, I don't mean to criticize you, but although your strength is not bad, you still have to rely on me at critical times. Speaking of tracking, I'm not bragging, but no one in the 9 emperors can compare to me." Suyu said indifferently, "I don't think there is any emperor who can compete with you to see who has a better nose." "Hey! Insulting a dog again, what's wrong with a dog? My dog is my glory." The black dog bared its teeth. Suyu said, "Finding my friend is the glory." As he spoke, Suyu took out a jade tombstone and said, "There is the scent left by my friend on it, smell it." Unexpectedly, the black dog's hair stood on end when it saw this thing, and it retreated in horror. "Why do you carry this thing with you? Do you know what this is?" Suyu nodded. "I know, it's very dangerous. Why do you carry it with you if you know? Do you have a death wish?" The black dog said. Suyu's eyes lit up. "I have a great use for this thing." The black dog stared at him. "There are many people in the world who are not afraid of death, but you are the only one I admire, because I don't even dare to dream of your death-seeking tricks. Enough. Hurry up and take this thing back, I have already smelled the scent." Suyu put away the jade tombstone solemnly and muttered, "If it were possible, I wouldn't want to use it either." The black dog's nose was extremely sensitive, and it soon discovered Wang Qingqian's scent. It was as if it was familiar with the maze, avoiding one dead end after another, jumping over one trap after another, and directly catching up to Wang Qingqian's scent. Not long after, Suyu heard intermittent sounds. "This maze is really troublesome. If it weren't for those 5 old geezers leading the way, we wouldn't have been able to reach the end of the maze and release Master even after spending hundreds of millions of years. We have to thank them for coming. That's why we were able to follow them to the control center of the second heaven seal. We were able to gradually undo the seal, open the second heaven, and unseal Master. Now that you have these 2 supplements, I believe that Master will be able to break a part of the restriction from the inside. This way, you will be able to escape even faster." Suyu was very cautious, and the black dog had also sensed the danger. Hence, it restrained its aura and followed them silently. Half a day later, they finally arrived at the center of the labyrinth after going through an extremely complicated and arduous journey. A square the size of a room. There were complex sorcery spells on the ground. At a glance, there were at least 1,000 of them. Each of them shone with a flickering light. Some were dark gray, while others were blood-red. The blood-red color occupied the majority, and it continued to spread. The blood demon, the giant eagle, the frog, and the duckbill beast stood in the center of the square, where a crystal ball the size of a fist was suspended. The blood demon was carrying a shriveled corpse in his hand. It was Chu Bawang. All the flesh and blood had been taken away, leaving only the bones and skin. The famous genius of the wizard tribe had ended up like this. His flesh and blood were drenched on the crystal ball. The crystal ball spun for a while, making a sizzling sound and emitting bursts of red light. The blood-red sorcery on the ground immediately increased, while the dark gray sorcery suddenly decreased. The 4 creatures watched with great excitement. 80% of the seal has been lifted. The green figure said in surprise, "The blood of this wizard has a special effect on lifting the seal. He and the other 5 wizards should be the family that guards our Azura Forbidden Land, the Chu clan. Even the indifferent blood demon showed a hint of joy and said, "Haha, more than that. This person should be an important successor of the Chu clan. The power of his blood is much stronger than those 5 old things. He has lifted 30% of the seal. There is still 20% left. In less than 5 days, Master can break it from the inside out." The duckbill beast nodded calmly. "Well, now we just need to guard the crystal ball. This thing is the core of the control formation. Without it, the seal cannot be completely broken. Yes, from now on, we will not interfere with anything in the outside world. Guard the crystal ball and wait for Master to come out," the blood demon said. The 4 of them were very excited, as if their long-cherished wish of many years was about to be fulfilled. Suddenly, the giant eagle said, "Let's sacrifice this wizard as well." The other 3 ferocious beasts looked expectant. "Haha, this person's strength is above that of the one just now. Could he also be a member of the Chu clan? If he is, perhaps the seal can be completely unlocked today." The giant eagle's eyes flashed coldly, and its sharp claws sucked Wang Qinchin, who was on the ground, towards it. At the same time, its sharp claws were ready to crush Wang Qinchin. But at this moment, the giant eagle seemed to have sensed something, and its expression changed drastically. Its sharp claws changed from offense to defense, blocking in front of its body. Whoosh! A shocking battle intent rose from the ground and suddenly attacked the giant eagle and the other 3 ferocious beasts present. The battle intent was so fierce that even they could not help but be awestruck and defend themselves. Whoosh! When the battle intent dissipated, the giant eagle clawed at the place where it had attacked, but it seemed to have touched something extremely hard. Not only did it fail to tear the attacker to shreds as it had imagined, but its sharp claws created sparks instead. When he opened his eyes, a silver-haired figure quickly disappeared from his sight. "Not good. The boy who was about to be sacrificed has been rescued," the green figure shouted. "What?" The blood demon suddenly turned his head, but what he saw was not Wang Qinchin, but the crystal ball. However, just as he had a bad premonition, the crystal ball had disappeared. Not only was the person rescued, but even the crystal ball was taken away by the other party. The 4 ferocious beasts froze for a moment, and then their expressions changed dramatically. "Quickly chase after him. We can't let him take the crystal ball out of the Azura Forbidden Lands. Otherwise, we will never be able to unlock the Master's seal. Moreover, even we can't leave the Azura Forbidden Lands." Unfortunately, Su Yu was prepared and quickly retreated from the maze. With the special terrain where flying was impossible, they could not catch up with Su Yu. Whoosh! However, at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened. Su Yu looked up and his heart suddenly jumped. On the huge red light curtain in the sky, there was a projection of a behemoth. On the huge head, densely packed sharp horns grew. It looked like a dragon, a demon, and a ghost. A pair of extremely dark red giant eyes, like lanterns, stared coldly at Su Yu. Crack! Right at this moment, the mysterious monster's head suddenly collided with the barrier of light, and it actually caused the barrier of light to shake while a crack suddenly appeared on it. It seemed that the next moment, it would break the seal and emerge from the other end of the seal. Chapter 14:19. However, at that moment, the remaining gray witchcraft on the ground in the center of the labyrinth immediately shot out a gray chain, flying towards the bloody light curtain and entangling it. The trembling bloody light curtain immediately stabilized, and the cracks on it quickly smoothed out. No matter how the mysterious monster hit it with its head, it could no longer shake the bloody light curtain. After trying for a long time, the mysterious monster gave up its fearless attack and isolated the seal's sound transmission. It issued a mighty and majestic voice. "Human creature, put down the crystal ball, and I can give you benefits that you will never be able to obtain." Su Yu asked, "How big are the benefits?" "So big that you can't imagine it." At least, the lost nation that you speak of will never be given to you, the mysterious monster said indifferently, and its words had a sense of contempt for the world. Its tone was not small at all. Why, you don't believe me? It saw that Su Yu did not respond and said indifferently. Su Yu smiled lightly. To be sealed here by the wizard ancestor, I believe that you have unimaginable strength, and I believe that you can really give me unimaginable benefit. However, I can't believe that I can live to get all of this. When he finished speaking, Su Yu glanced behind him and said with a faint smile, I think you've bought enough time. Farewell. The 4 ferocious beasts were approaching quickly. Swish. Su Yu immediately left and disappeared into the labyrinth in an instant. When the 4 ferocious beasts arrived, Su Yu had already disappeared. Inside the bloody light curtain, the mysterious monster's dark red blood eyes flashed, and it roared, Human, you will regret this. The angry voice echoed in the labyrinth, causing the bloody light curtain to tremble again. The remaining gray witchcraft on the ground burst into light again, firmly blocking the bloody light curtain. Leaving the labyrinth and flying down from the vortex, Su Yu did not say a word. He grabbed the unconscious and seriously injured Wang Qinchen with one hand and performed a seal with the other. Tai Chi Yin Yang Wings. Suddenly, the yin and yang of heaven and earth were in chaos, and the universe was turned upside down. When Su Yu reappeared, he had already teleported hundreds of millions of miles away, crossing half of the first level of heaven. Su Yu simply put Wang Qinchen into the space ring, and he immediately hid his figure and breath so that he would not be caught. In this way, he slowly headed towards the entrance of the vortex. Along the way, Su Yu tried his best to avoid the places where the creatures of the Azura Forbidden Lands roamed, lest they discover him and expose his whereabouts. Hence, Su Yu's speed was extremely slow. 10 days later, he finally arrived at the entrance of the vortex. From afar, one could see red lightning flashing at the entrance of the vortex. As long as one passed through it, they would be able to leave the Azura Forbidden Land. However, after witnessing the cunning of the 4 ferocious beasts, Su Yu would not be careless and fall for their tricks. With a flicker of his eyes, Su Yu weaved a seal with one hand, and a figure appeared beside him. It was one of the divine paths, the clone technique. This doppelganger was exactly the same as the main body, even its aura was the same. Under the secret control of Su Yu's main body, the doppelganger quietly circled into a forest. Then, like a sharp arrow, it suddenly shot toward the whirlpool in an attempt to escape the Azura Forbidden Lands. Crack, however, just as he rushed out of the forest, an afterimage suddenly flashed across the sky. The afterimage was extremely fast. Like a black lightning bolt, it arrived in front of the clone in an instant. However, the doppelganger's reaction was also extremely fast. The moment the lightning appeared, it immediately turned around and ran back into the forest. A black shadow appeared like a bolt of lightning. It was the giant eagle. Immediately afterward, the other 3 figures also appeared from the dark. The green figure sneered and said, Humph! Big Brother Blood Demon is clever and predicted that this man will definitely return here. We can wait for him to exhaust himself and ambush him here. The Blood Demon said fiercely, Do you think it is possible to escape after entering the Azura Forbidden Lands? Humph! Chase. The Blood Demon, the giant eagle, the frog, and the duckbill beast all chased into the forest. However, listening to the violent movements in the forest, they must have already fought. At this time, Su Yu finally moved. In a state of invisibility, he quietly came to the front of the whirlpool, smiled confidently, and jumped into the whirlpool. However, at this moment, a giant fiery red net emerged from the whirlpool. The giant net sensed that a creature had jumped into it and was activated on its own. It suddenly spread out from the whirlpool and covered Su Yu, who was caught off guard. I've been fooled. Su Yu's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly used his magical powers in an attempt to tear the giant net apart. The 9 Suns Sword Formation. With a low growl, the indestructible golden flames forbidden wood sword cut the golden giant net. A series of sparks suddenly appeared, but only a shallow mark was left on the silk net. It would take some time to completely cut it off. However, Suyu obviously had no time. Swish, swish, swish. 4 figures broke through the air, as if they had been waiting for a long time. They landed around Suyu and surrounded him. The green figure couldn't help but laugh loudly. Ha ha ha! I've finally been fooled. Big Brother Blood Demon guessed right. This person is very cunning and will never take the risk himself. He will definitely use external objects, such as clones, to test the trap in front of the exit so that he can lead us away. It turned out that they already knew Suyu's plan. Suyu was trapped in the giant net, and his divine power was not flowing smoothly. He had little power to resist. He gritted his teeth and said, "You are too cunning." The blood demon sneered. "All is fair in war. What's more, courtesy demands reciprocity. You cheated and stole our crystal ball. Now we are just giving you a taste of your own medicine. Kill him and search his body immediately." Yes. The green figure licked his lips and sneered. He gathered the power of Azura in his palm and slapped it on Suyu's forehead. "Let's search your soul first." Bang! However, what made the green figure stiff was that this palm had smashed Suyu into pieces. There was not a drop of blood or a piece of flesh. It was as if he was an empty shell. The blood demon, the giant eagle, and the duckbill beast were stunned at the same time. The blood demon's eyes flashed, and his expression suddenly turned cold. He shouted, "Not good! We are the ones who have been fooled." As he spoke, the blood demon's terrifying claws grabbed the entrance of the vortex without warning. There was clearly nothing there, but when the blood demon's claws grabbed it, it seemed to have caught something, and there was a harsh scratching sound. In the void, a figure emerged. That silver-haired handsome face. Who else could it be but the outsider who stole their crystal ball? At this moment, Suyu was facing the vortex with a faint smile on his face. "Everyone from the Azura Forbidden Lands, we will meet again." After saying that, he jumped back and his whole body was submerged in the vortex. No. The blood demon roared ferociously and turned into a line of blood that rushed out, trying to stop Suyu. Suyu's face was as usual, and a dark scale spun out of his chest, blocking in front of his body. The blood demon's claws could even cut the void, but when they fell on the scale, they only scratched a series of sparks and did not hurt Suyu in the slightest. Suyu's figure was completely submerged in the vortex and disappeared without a trace. The blood demon was furious. "The control core of the seal cannot be lost, we must find it." The giant eagle sneered. "I really have to thank a few idiots of the wizard tribe, who changed the seal without authorization, leaving a loophole in the seal of the first level of heaven, so we had a chance to leave the first level of heaven in a short time and reach the outside world." Swish! He pulled out a bloody vertebra from his back. The vertebra contained an astonishing power of Shura, very similar to the power of the mysterious monster that was sealed on the other side. Swish! The other 3 ferocious beasts also pulled out their spines, enduring the pain. 4 spines full of powerful Azura power were intertwined. After a spin, Suyu returned to the outside world. Smelling the long-lost clear air, Suyu felt a little more at ease. "Why did you come out first?" However, a gloomy voice of anxiety and disappointment immediately fell into his ears. When he opened his eyes, it was Chu Long and Ling Wu, who had been waiting outside the Azura Forbidden Lands for half a month. Chu Long's eyes flickered, and he said in a low voice, "Where is Chu Bawang? Is it necessary for me to answer you?" Suyu said. Chu Long had long been accustomed to Suyu's attitude. He snorted and did not say much, but stared at the vortex with deep anticipation. Ling Wu came over and said, "How many beasts have you hunted?" Suyu said, "1." Hearing this, Chu Long secretly sneered, and a huge weight was lifted from his heart. After 15 days in, he had only hunted 1 ferocious beast, which was quite impressive. Ling Wu also showed some contempt and said to himself, "This man does not live up to his name. No matter what, he should not have hunted only one ferocious beast. It seems that the Chu clan's victory has been decided, and there is no doubt about it. Out of duty," he said, "take out the head of the ferocious beast and the jade pendant I gave you and have a look." Su Yu did as he was told. He first took out the jade pendant and then took out a huge octopus head. As soon as this thing was taken out, it immediately exuded an extremely fierce aura, especially the residual power of Azura, which had a nearly restraining effect on sorcery. Both Chu Long and Ling Wu were shocked, and they looked over in horror. A level 3 ferocious beast? Ling Wu sucked in a breath of cold air and felt his hair stand on end. He could actually kill a level 3 ferocious beast by himself. The ferocious beasts in the Azura Forbidden Lands killed each other all year round. Their strength was superior, and they were much more powerful than most of the level 3 wizards of the wizard tribe. Su Yu had the power to kill them, which meant that if Su Yu wanted to kill any level 3 wizard, it would not be too difficult. Ling Wu quietly kept his distance from Su Yu and was secretly vigilant. Chu Long, on the other hand, was taken aback because he knew that this octopus was one of the few third heaven ferocious beasts in the first heaven. Their appearance here meant that the 5 experts he sent had failed to capture this octopus alive. They won't have any accidents, will they? Chu Long thought to himself, but he remembered that the 5 of them were following his instructions. The 5 of them traveled together, and if they encountered any danger in the level 1, there should not be any difficulty. The worry in his heart faded away. Ling Wu said solemnly, "A level 3 ferocious beast is worth 10 points. Next, we will wait for Master Chu to come back." He thought to himself that although it was surprising that Su Yu had killed a level 3 ferocious beast, it could not change the outcome. But at that moment, Su Yu curled his lips and said, "If you are waiting for Chu Boang, I don't think you need to. He is not coming back." Chapter 14:20. Literally, he can't come back. Su Yu shrugged. There were usually 2 possibilities for not being able to come back. The first was being trapped, and the second was death. In a dangerous place like the Azura Forbidden Lands, it was obvious that the latter was more likely to be the case. "What did you say?" Chu Bawang's expression changed. "If you dare to lie, I will make you walk sideways." Su Yu looked at Ling Wu calmly. "Lord Ling Wu, as the supervising emissary sent by the sect leader, are you indifferent to threatening the contestants?" Ling Wu had no choice but to come forward and patiently said, "Su Yu, the Chu clan leader, cares about his children, so it is understandable that his words are a little impulsive. You should understand." Su Yu smiled faintly and said with an expressionless face, "Well, I certainly understand your feelings now that your son has died. However, all that's left of Chu Boang is his skin and bones. Will the ferocious beast not return his body and announce the results of the competition?" Ling Wu said, "Today is the end of the competition. If he doesn't come back, it will be regarded as a defeat, and the winner will belong to you." Su Yu crossed his arms in front of his chest and said, "Okay, it's only half a day. I can afford to wait." Misleading the masses with lies. The Bawang has, in short, he has a trump card to protect himself. No matter who dies, he won't die. Chu Long's pupils flickered violently, and there was a glimmer of hope in his eyes. Su Yu said, "What does he have?" "He has 5 elders of the Chu clan to protect him, so he won't die?" "What?" Chu Long's face changed dramatically, and he finally showed a look of fear. He said in surprise, "What did you see?" "It's nothing. It's just 5 heads. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the trump card that your Chu clan is determined to win in this competition," Su Yu said. "Nonsense, how could they be killed?" Chu Long was shocked. Su Yu spread his hands. "I don't need you to believe me. If you don't believe me, just wait patiently for half a day." Half a day passed, and the agreed period of half a month went by bit by bit. Chu Long's eyes stared at the vortex, and his eyes gradually became dry and bloodshot, but he still refused to give up. However, as time went on, his heart became heavier and heavier. With the help of 5 elders at the third heaven, even if they did not kill enough beasts, they should be able to escort the tyrant back safely. The fact that there was still no movement meant that there were many problems. Ling Wu remained silent. He was also secretly shocked. The 5 third heaven experts of the Chu clan, as well as the heir of the Chu clan, Chu Bawang, had most likely perished inside. What happened inside? How could the 5 elders not be able to return alive? Finally, the time was up. Although Ling Wu wanted to help the Chu clan, he did not dare to change the rules without permission. With a light sigh, Ling Wu said, "It's a pity that Chu clan master, Chu Bawang, did not return as promised. This is considered a failure. Su Yu is the winner of this competition." Wait. Chu Long turned around. Under the armor, only a pair of eyes were exposed, reflecting a gloomy light. "I suspect that he killed my son, Chu Bawang. Lord Ling Wu, please reveal the truth through the jade pendant," Chu Long said coldly. His whole body emitted an extremely sharp aura. It seemed like he would attack Su Yu at any time. Ling Wu immediately said, "Yes. The request of the Chu clan master is within the scope of permission. Of course, there is no problem." He did not care whether he would hurt Su Yu's reputation and agreed immediately, for fear of offending the Chu clan master. Taking out the jade pendant, Ling Wu activated it on the spot. The jade pendant projected a series of moving pictures, which were the various things that Su Yu had done after entering the Azura Forbidden Lands. Among them, the images of the green figure and the blood demon made their faces change dramatically. Even if it was just a projection, they could feel the horror of the two. They were by no means ordinary level 3 ferocious beasts. What made their faces change even more was that there were 5 heads stuck upside down on the top of the mountain. Chu Long was shocked. He recognized at a glance that they were the 5 clan elders he had sent. He had ordered them to capture a few level 3 ferocious beasts alive and bring them to the shore of the Silver Lake to meet Chu Bawang. Who knew that they would all perish? Their eyelids twitched, and their hearts were filled with horror. Then, Su Yu met Wang Qingchen and killed the 8-clawed octopus. Ling Wu nodded. There was no problem with the origin of this object. The key was the death of Chu Bawang. Finally, beside a silver lake, Chu Bawang's figure appeared. Instead of waiting for the 5 clan elders, he found himself in a trap. Not only did he fail to take advantage of Su Yu, but he also became Su Yu's scapegoat and was caught in the vortex. Finally, the scene of Chu Bawang's execution was clearly displayed on the screen. Everything had nothing to do with Su Yu. Chu Long's face was pale, and his heart was filled with grief. He had no choice but to accept the death of Chu Bawang. However, after recovering from his grief, he was filled with inexplicable hatred for Su Yu. If it weren't for Su Yu, would they have had to go to the Azura Forbidden Lands to compete? Would it have led to the death of Chu Bawang? The images continued to flow, and Su Yu said lightly, "Lord Ling Wu, do you have anything else to say?" Ling Wu wanted to help the Chu clan and disqualify Su Yu from winning, but from beginning to end, Su Yu's actions were impeccable. He could only say, "The winner of this competition is Su Yu." Wait. Chu Long clapped his hands, and from the void in the distance, an aircraft that had been hidden for half a month suddenly appeared. From it, 3 old men from the Chu clan leaped out. Each of them had an aura that was no weaker than level 3. Ling Wu was taken aback. He didn't know that there were strong men from the Chu clan hiding nearby. "Chu clan master, what are you doing?" Ling Wu's eyes flickered as he asked. Chu Long's eyes were full of hatred as he stared at Su Yu. "Su Yu killed my son. This is no longer a matter of competition, but a matter of our personal grievances. Today, I must use his blood to pay for the harm my son has suffered. Lord Ling Wu, this matter has nothing to do with you. Please step aside and don't intervene." When Ling Wu heard this, he was overjoyed. He took a step back and watched with folded arms. Su Yu said, Ling Wu, the Chu clan can't afford to lose and wanted to kill someone. Are you really going to pretend that you didn't see it? Ling Wu couldn't even get away in time, so how could he dare to speak up for Su Yu? He said with a face of impartiality, I only have the right to supervise. The competition is over, and I have made a fair ruling. The rest is your personal grievances, and it has nothing to do with me. Hearing this, Su Yu smiled sarcastically. You are too smart for your own good. Ling Wu sneered. It would be foolish of me to help you. Su Yu, pay for my son's life. Chu Long knew that Chu Bawang's death could not be blamed on Su Yu, but the most important thing at the moment was not personal grievances, but bargaining chips. If he did not kill Su Yu, the Chu clan would really have to take out resources that would hurt them greatly. This was a price that the Chu clan could not afford to pay. Therefore, he selected 3 men of sacrifice from the clan to give Su Yu a fatal blow at the last moment, even if the 3 of them suffered the backlash of the Thunder Mark. What a joke! What does your son's life and death have to do with me? Su Yu said. Chu Long shouted. If it weren't for the competition between you and the Bawang, would he have fallen to this point? Su Yu chuckled. Perhaps the Chu clan leader has forgotten that it was your precious son who forced me to make a challenge. You may have also forgotten that in order to ensure victory, it was also you who chose the Azura Forbidden Land to compete. I really don't know how I caused your son's death. Instead of blaming me, it's better to blame yourselves. Su Yu's eyes were full of pity. Sad people always blame others for their mistakes and never reflect on themselves. Chu Long was poked in his sore spot and roared, Don't try to argue. Pay for my son's life. Together with Chu Long himself, the 4 top strong men of the Chu clan attacked Su Yu together. However, at this moment they strangely changed their target and set their attack on Ling Wu. Ling Wu, who was watching from the sidelines, was caught off guard and shouted, What are you doing? In a hurry, he hurriedly resisted. Unfortunately, they were unprepared, and the outcome of a 4-on-1 battle could be imagined. Ling Wu's physical body was destroyed by the 4 strong men, and his soul took the opportunity to escape. However, it was caught by the Chu clan leader. Ling Wu's soul was shocked and angry, and he roared, Chu clan leader, are you trying to rebel? I am the messenger sent by the sect leader. The Chu clan leader sneered. Idiot! If you die here and frame Su Yu, or the escaped ferocious beasts, what can the sect leader do to me? Rest in peace. The Chu clan leader clenched his 5 fingers. Ling Wu was horrified and hurriedly asked Su Yu for help. Brother Su, join forces with me and eradicate the traitor. Su Yu folded his arms and looked on coldly as he had done before. He said lightly, This is a personal grudge between you, and it is not convenient for me to intervene. The same words were thrown back at him. If he helped the Chu clan, Su Yu could ignore it. If he stood by and did nothing, Su Yu could ignore it. However, if he was in trouble, Su Yu would not care. As Su Yu said, he was too clever for his own good. The images in the jade pendant recorded many shocking secrets, such as the Chu clan changing the seals without authorization, which led to the changes in the Azura Forbidden Lands. How could the Chu clan allow this to spread? Therefore, Ling Wu's death was already a foregone conclusion. Unfortunately, he thought that the Chu clan would not dare to do anything to him, and he even intended to stand by and watch. Su Yu could not find a reason to save such a stupid and selfish person. Poof! Chu Long clenched his 5 fingers, and Ling Wu's soul was completely crushed. With a cold smile in his eyes, he said, I can only deal with you with peace of mind after I get rid of the irrelevant people. The 3 elders behind him walked towards Su Yu step by step, their eyes filled with the determination to die. But at that moment the vortex above their heads suddenly rolled, and the red thunder in it continued to roar, as if it was trying to stop something from coming out. Everyone present was taken aback. Chu Long was surprised. Strange, could it be that the arrangement of the 5 clan elders has finally worked, and a few ferocious beasts from the Azura Forbidden Lands have been released? But then he thought about it and couldn't help but laugh. Heaven is on my side. The ferocious beasts of the Azura Forbidden Lands have appeared, killed Ling Wu, and killed Su Yu. Ah! Chapter 1421. Chu Long smiled coldly. What a joke! Don't you know who I am? I am the patriarch of the family who guards the Azura Forbidden Lands. If I can't even suppress a few ferocious beasts, how can I hold this position for so many years? Shaking his head, Su Yu looked at him as if he was looking at a dead man. You may not understand what it means to send 5 people to the Azura Forbidden Lands to deal with the Forbidden Lands. You really brought this upon yourself. Swish. Su Yu's body was like a phantom, and he immediately left. Chu Long's eyes were cold. Kill him! The 3 elders immediately attacked Su Yu. However, at that moment, a black lightning cut through the sky above the vortex and flashed past the 3 elders. 3 consecutive blood-curdling screams resounded throughout the universe. Chu Long looked back and his pupils shrank. He saw a half-human, half-eagle creature, each holding an elder with its claws. Its sharp claws pierced through their heads, pinning them to the ground, unable to move. It held one in its mouth, piercing the chest of the elder, greedily sucking the flesh and blood essence in the elder's body. In a breath's time, the 3 experts of the Chu clan were completely annihilated. Chu Long gasped. How could this level of strength be a level 3 ferocious beast? In terms of speed alone, it was comparable to the supreme existence of level 2. However, the vortex roared, and 3 more figures descended. Among them, the blood-red ferocious shadow was even more terrifying than the giant eagle. Chu Long's feet were cold. Through the image, he sensed the danger of the blood demon, but in front of him, he was shocked to find that this blood demon was several times more terrifying. Looking at the fate of the 3 strong men of the clan, Chu Long hurriedly took out a black token. It was the item that controlled the Azura Forbidden Lands, inherited from the hands of the wizard ancestor. Without saying a word, he bit the tip of his tongue and spat out a large mouthful of grayish-white blood, which fell on the token. The token immediately emitted a mysterious light, and the vortex of the Azura Forbidden Lands above his head suddenly sped up. The blood demon and the others suddenly felt their bodies locked in place, and they were involuntarily swept into the vortex. Seeing this, Chu Long felt a little relieved. Fortunately, although the escaped ferocious beasts were too terrifying, the situation was still under control. However, the next moment, a scene that made Chu Long stiffen appeared. The 4 beasts took out a bloody spine one after another and held it tightly in their hands. The spine emitted a powerful Azura power, which actually resisted the suction force of the vortex. The 4 ferocious beasts stabilized themselves, their eyes glinting with ferocity. The blue figure sneered, "Big brother blood demon, it seems our luck isn't too bad. We just came out and we ran into the patriarch of the Azura Forbidden Land. The token in his hand is the key to controlling the first layer of the seal." The duckbill beast said, "That's not all. As the patriarch of the guardian family, his bloodline power is the strongest. Perhaps his blood alone is enough to completely dissolve the last 20% of the seal on Master." The eagle's sharp eyes stared deeply at the token in Chu Long's hand, and, with this token, we will no longer be limited in the time we can leave the first heaven. We can even open the first heaven and lead our Shura World's army to occupy a piece of land. Hearing their discussion, Zhao Long's hair stood on end. He finally realized how stupid it was for him to send 5 clan elders to change the seal of the second heaven. The blood demon grinned. "You 3 deal with the patriarch of the guardian family. I'll deal with this kid myself." From beginning to end, the blood demon had never taken the initiative to attack, but he was the strongest of the 4 ferocious beasts. The giant eagle sighed, "I haven't seen Big Brother in action for a long time." The blue figure and the duckbill beast showed excitement in their eyes. It has indeed been a long time since I saw Big Brother in action. Under everyone's gaze, the blood demon slowly walked towards Su Yu, his anger surging. Su Yu's eyes were solemn. Compared with the octopus, the blood demon was on a completely different level. In terms of breath alone, 10 octopuses were not necessarily a match for the blood demon. Swoosh, without thinking, Su Yu immediately chose to escape. The blood demon grinned, as if looking at the prey he was about to chase. His body shook, and a pair of wide blood-red wings appeared behind him. With a flap, he turned into a flash of blood-red lightning and chased after Su Yu. His speed was even faster than the giant eagle. Big Brother indeed. The giant eagle's eyes were full of envy and jealousy. Immediately, his sharp eagle eyes turned and stared at Chu Long, saying, "Third brother, fourth brother, let's attack together, don't show any mercy." Soon, a desperate battle broke out here. As for Su Yu, while he was still flying, he felt the extremely fast power behind him. His eyes were full of concentration, and without thinking, he formed a seal with his hands and immersed himself in a powerful and unparalleled state. Suddenly, the shocking fighting intent seemed to come from ancient time and space, descending with a rumble. The blood demon showed a trace of surprise in his eyes. This move was still fresh in his memory. Humph! In the absence of preparation, this move may still be a threat to me, but now… The blood demon held the bloody spine in his hand and waved it in the air. Chi! In an instant, a long crack appeared in the space. An earth-shattering Azura power crushed the battle will. The remaining power penetrated the fighting intent and went straight to Su Yu. Su Yu immediately activated the reverse scale of the World Annihilation Dragon to block the remaining power. Bang! There was a loud bang. Although the reverse scale of the World Annihilation Dragon could neutralize the threat of the power of Azura, it could not neutralize the huge force carried by it. Su Yu's body flew backward, and there was a mouthful of blood in his mouth. His muscles and bones seemed to have been crushed, and there was no part of him that was not in pain. "You are not dead? The scale on your chest seems to be unusual," the blood demon said indifferently. The blood demon said indifferently. Almost as soon as he finished speaking, he swung the spine in his hand again without any warning. This time it was a full blow. Even if the reverse scale of the World Annihilation Dragon could block it, it would still be killed. At this critical moment, Su Yu's whole body shone with divine light, and 4,000 divine path phantoms stood behind him. The endless divine light merged into one, forming a terrible beam of light. It went against the flow and fought with the power of Azura. The two extreme forces collided and intersected in the air, producing a destructive aftermath. The three ferocious beasts, who were about to end the battle, looked shocked. The giant eagle's left claw was pressing down on a head that had died with its eyes wide open, and its right claw was holding a black token. Staring at the battle in the distance, the giant eagle was shocked. He can actually fight Boss Blood Demon to a draw. The pupils of the green figure and the duckbill beast also shrank. 4,000 divine paths? Among the divine paths there is such a strange talent? The duckbill beast's eyes narrowed. I have heard of many nature-defying children who became gods through the divine paths. Their divine paths are different from the others, and even the positions of gods that they eventually obtained are different from those of ordinary divine paths. However, such people are all nature-defying talents collected by the Path Master. How could there be one of them here? The giant eagle said, "Let's go and help first." Boom. At this time, the two forces suddenly broke out with an unprecedented impact. A white wave of light that was visible to the naked eye radiated all around. The giant eagle and the others who were about to rush over were shocked and retreated. The green figure's movement was slightly slower, and he was swept by the white light. In an instant, he turned into ashes. "Fourth brother!" The giant eagle and the duckbill beast roared, but they could only watch helplessly as the green figure's body turned into dust and drifted away. They retreated until they were millions of miles away before they escaped to a safe area. When the white light subsided, they were shocked by the scene in front of them. There was no longer any land there. It had all been razed to the ground, leaving only magma deep underground gushing out, turning millions of miles of mountains and rivers into a sea of fire. The atmosphere had also been swept away. All the spiritual energy and air had been swept away and turned into a vacuum state. Even the sky above had been swept away with a spatial crack that covered an area of countless miles. Looking at the shocking scene, the giant eagle and the duckbill beast, who were lucky enough to survive, swallowed hard. This nature-defying talent is too terrifying. The duckbill beast was shocked. The giant eagle said solemnly, "I wonder how Big Brother Blood Demon is doing." After waiting for a moment to make sure that the white light would not appear again, the giant eagle carefully flew to the center of the battlefield. In the center of a magma lake, a blood-colored figure was kneeling on the ground on one knee while holding a spine in his right hand. His left hand was tightly covering his chest. The giant eagle hurriedly flew over and said, "Big Brother." When he saw the injuries of the blood demon, the giant eagle's face changed dramatically. The blood demon's chest had been swept away, and he had lost all his internal organs. His head also seemed to have been hollowed out, leaving only an empty skull. Only his hands and feet were intact. His breath was also on the verge of extinction. A strange light flashed through the giant eagle's eyes. Just as he was about to think, the blood demon suddenly raised his empty head and said coldly, "What are you thinking about? Hurry up and heal my injuries." The giant eagle was shocked and immediately took out his spine, releasing the power of Azura to heal the blood demon's injuries. After a long time, the blood demon's abdomen was restored, and most of his head was restored. The duckbill beast rushed over at this time. Looking at the injuries of the blood demon, he gasped. "This is the first time Big Brother has been so seriously injured." The blood demon said coldly, 4,000 divine paths, this is a nature-defying talent that only the Path Master is qualified to collect. It is not surprising that he could fight me to a draw." "Big Brother, what about him? Is he dead?" The duckbill beast glanced around but did not find Su Yu's shadow. The blood demon said, "He has left." The giant eagle and the duckbill beast looked at each other and saw the horror in each other's eyes. Did that mean that the human race was better? The blood demon snorted coldly. "His injuries are worse than mine." Hearing this, the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. However, the giant eagle's eyes flashed with disappointment. "You two heal me together and try to recover 30% of my strength. I will search for this person with you." The blood demon said fiercely, "Even without the crystal ball, I intend to hunt him down to the end. Such a nature-defying talent, if not eradicated, will sooner or later become a great threat to the Azura world." In this regard, the giant eagle and the duckbill beast had no objection and nodded in agreement. Swish! Somewhere in the Blackwood forest, in a group of ancient trees, a silver-haired handsome young man covered in blood fell from a high altitude, smashed into a giant tree, and then rolled to the ground. Every bone in his body was broken, and his flesh was badly mutilated. Green energy constantly flowed out of his chest, repairing his body. Even so, this green energy that was full of life energy could not be recovered quickly. Layers of obscure Azura power could be seen in his body from time to time, constantly wandering and destroying the body that had just been repaired. Therefore, this injury could not be completely healed in a short time. However, the enemy would not give him enough time. Lying under the tree, Su Yu could not move his limbs, quietly waiting for his body to recover. 2 hours later, Su Yu suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were solemn, and his left hand, which was barely able to move, rested on the space ring, ready to use something. Because something powerful was approaching. Until the figure of the person appeared, Su Yu was stunned and frowned. "Have you been following me?" Chapter 1422. Sort of, I said I would repay the favor, The person in front of him said calmly. Su Yu put down his finger and sighed slightly. You chose the worst time. The woman in front of him was Wuxin, the helm leader Wuxin, who wanted to repay the kindness with her life. Su Yu was in a very dangerous situation at the moment, and Wuxin came. Perhaps her own words would come true, she would sacrifice herself for Su Yu. Don't worry too much. During the half a month you entered the Azura Forbidden Lands, I have been preparing for today, Wuxin said. If I save you, the kindness between us will be written off, and I can leave the lost nation with peace of mind. After all, she was too ashamed to face the mistress of the greatest Saint Lady Temple, and she wanted to leave. At this point, Su Yu could no longer drive her away. He said, Then I will have to trouble you. Wuxin nodded calmly, helped Su Yu up, and quickly left the place. Soon after, a cave hidden in the deep forest appeared in front of the two of them. This cave was a temporary stronghold opened by the wizard tribe during the war between the god realm and the wizard tribe. It goes straight underground and extends in all directions. After entering, it will take a long time for the enemy to track us down. Wuxin explained, gently sweeping away the dust in front of the cave, and led Su Yu into the cave. Wait, Su Yu said with difficulty. He gathered the little divine power he had and swept away the footprints outside the cave, as well as the smell. Finally, he deliberately shook off a layer of dust with his divine power to cover up the traces of the cave entrance. Wuxin saw this and couldn't help but praise, You are so meticulous. When it comes to dealing with danger, I am an old antique who has lived for many years, but I am not as good as you. The cave was indeed a different world. It went straight underground, and the underground passages were complicated. Along the way, Su Yu found at least tens of thousands of passages of different sizes and directions. If the blood demon wanted to chase after them, it might really cost a lot. Su Yu and Wuxin chose an inconspicuous ordinary passage and entered it, recuperating in an abandoned stone room in the passage. I have good healing elixirs here, Wuxin said. Su Yu shook his head. My injury is secondary. The power of Azura that invaded my body is the key. I only need time now. How long? 1 day is enough. Wuxin's eyes were calm. You rest well, I will protect you. Su Yu nodded, then revolved the Milky Way star sand and concentrated on extracting the Azura power that had invaded his body. Half a day had passed, and the power of Azura in Su Yu's body had weakened significantly. His injured body had finally begun to recover. However, it would still take half a day for him to recover to his peak. Rumble, however, at this moment, a strange sound came from outside the passageway. It seemed that some creature had passed by the house and accidentally touched the metal objects scattered on the ground. The look in Wu Xian's eyes suddenly became fierce. He suddenly got up and went to the front of the house. Sticking to the door, he held his breath with rapt attention and listened to the movements outside. Su Yu's nerves tensed up. He had not fully recovered from his injuries, and if he were to force himself to fight, he would not be a match for the 3 ferocious beasts. All of a sudden, Wu Xian seized the opportunity and opened the door. His palm swallowed and spat out an astonishing amount of wizard power. The living beings outside clearly did not expect that there would be people in the underground tunnel that had been abandoned for so long. He didn't even have time to scream before he was killed by Wu Xian's palm. Su Yu walked over and fixed his gaze on it. A curious look appeared on his face. The intruder was not one of the 3 ferocious beasts, but a soldier from the god realm. An enemy of the god realm? Wu Xian was also surprised. How did they come to the underground tunnel? Su Yu thought for a moment and said in a low voice, I'm afraid we have to leave this place quickly. This tunnel is not a good place to be. The appearance of the citizen of the god realm made Wu Xian aware of the danger. He nodded slightly. We can't stay any longer. We will leave through another tunnel. The exit of that tunnel leads directly to the outside of Fan Capital. We can reach the safe area as soon as possible. Even with the insolence of the three ferocious beasts, they would not dare to openly invade Fan Capital. The masters and many powerful treasures guarding Fan Capital were enough to make it a one-way trip. I have recovered 30% of my combat power. If I don't encounter the three ferocious beasts, there shouldn't be a big problem, Suyu said. The two of them left immediately after saying that. Not long after they left, another soldier from the god realm rushed over silently. He squatted down to examine the injuries of the deceased. His eyes were focused, and he immediately took out a jade pendant. He said in a low voice, "The wizard tribesmen have invaded the underground tunnel. Please inform the general immediately to block all the major exit. Do not let the wizard tribesmen leak the news of this place." 2 hours later, they came to the end of a tunnel. The glaring sunlight outside made it difficult for them to open their eyes. Wu Xian supported Suyu and was about to leave when she found that Suyu's feet seemed to be rooted to the ground. She couldn't move him. Looking back, she saw that Suyu's face was full of vigilance. His pair of eyes had turned pale white, and there was a mysterious aura that could see through everything. There is an ambush outside. The God Realm soldiers have set up an ambush here. Suyu's eyes were bright. He didn't think that the God Realm soldiers would be warm and courteous after discovering that Suyu was a wanted criminal of the 4 great empires. Not to mention the fact that there was a genuine wizard by his side. Let's look for other exits. Suyu finished looking, and his eyes were focused. There are 2 level 3 deities guarding the exit. If I were at my peak, I could still break through with you. Now it's too dangerous. Wu Xian said. There are other passageways, however. At that moment, Wu Xian and Suyu shuddered at the same time. A tyrannical aura quickly approached them, as if it had firmly locked them in place. Then another aura followed. Not long after, a third aura approached. They quickly found Suyu's location and sped away. It's them. Sure enough, they found us. Suyu wasn't too surprised. There was still the power of Azura left in his body, and it was only a matter of time before they found him. Delaying them for half a day was already a good result. Suyu turned to look at the exit and gritted his teeth. We can only take the risk and break through. Go. Wu Xian was indifferent to life and death. She stood in front of Suyu and said without looking back, I'll hold off the 2 level 3 deities outside. You escape alone. Her tone was light and indifferent, as if she was talking about something ordinary. However, if that was the case, she would stay here forever. If I really escape like this, I won't be able to live in peace for the rest of my life. I just want to live with a clear conscience, Suyu said, bypassing Wu Xian and walking to the front. The space ring between his fingers flickered, and a jade tombstone fell into his hand. Stroking the tombstone, Suyu said helplessly, If my guess is correct, whether we can get out of here today all depends on this tombstone. Wu Xian was surprised and looked at the tombstone in confusion. In her senses, there was nothing special about the tombstone. It was no different from ordinary jade. What is this? Wu Xian asked in surprise. Chapter 1423. If someone else had said this, she would not have believed it. But Suyu's words, she inexplicably believed it. Swoosh. Suyu activated his divine power, condensed a clone, and suddenly rushed out of the exit. As a result, the exit was already hidden, and a long-prepared formation was immediately activated. The formation released a beam of light as thick as a thumb, intersecting in the air to form a fine giant net, penetrating Suyu's clone at lightning speed. The clone was immediately cut into thumb-sized cubes by the giant net and scattered on the ground. Only after activating the formation did Suyu move his body and fly out. Humph, he escaped from our cave. On both sides of the stone cave exit, 2 powerful level 3 deities appeared, their bodies filled with divine light. On the left was an old man in a yellow robe, saying, Immediately inform the rest to come to this exit and block them. On the right was a middle-aged bald man with a fat head and big ears, who sneered, It's just a wizard, the two of us are enough. Swish. At this time, Su Yu and Wuxin flew out one after another. Su Yu did not dare to be careless in the slightest. Enduring his injuries, he activated the heaven fighting 3 strokes. The boundless fighting intent surged like a tsunami, rumbling out of the stone cave. The yellow-robed man and the fat middle-aged man were shocked and immediately joined forces to activate their divine power, condensing it into a wall of defense. Crack! As the fighting intent passed, their defense held on for 3 breaths before it broke. The yellow-robed old man's face changed dramatically. Get out of the way! Swish! The two of them barely dodged, and the invincible fighting intent tore the wall of divine power and rushed straight into the sky. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Su Yu and Wuxin escaped from the blockade and rushed in the direction of Fan Capital. Quickly chase after them, the yellow-robed old man said. The fat middle-aged man was puzzled and could not help but hesitate. That kid, why does he look so familiar? Where have I seen him? As soon as he said this, the yellow-robed old man's anxious face was also surprised. You think so too? I thought it was an illusion. The two of them looked at each other with some surprise. All of a sudden, a bolt of lightning flashed in the plump, middle-aged man's mind, illuminating his heart. He suddenly remembered where he had seen Su Yu before, and said in shock, Elder Huang, isn't he the most wanted criminal of the 4 great empires, Su Yu? Hearing this, the yellow-robed old man was shocked. So it's him. No wonder it looked so familiar. Soon after, his aged eyes were filled with ecstasy. The world's most wanted criminal, Su Yu. The 4 great dynasties had issued a joint order to capture him. Anyone who could capture him alive would be able to learn the secret skills of the 4 great imperial sacred factions. You can also choose any imperial sacred faction and be worshipped for eternity. From then on, you will have an inexhaustible supply of training resources. The yellow-robed elder repeated the rewards for Su Yu's arrest. It was a temptation that no god could resist. Even a level 3 deity would not be able to resist such tempting conditions. Their breathing quickened at the same time, and their pupils constricted, flickering with an ecstatic light. Their hearts pounded as if they had seen a great opportunity that belonged to them. Should we inform the commander? The obese middle-aged man realized a problem. The yellow-robed old man was extremely hesitant, uneasy, and reluctant. After a while, he gritted his teeth and said, Forget it, whether we can be rich for a lifetime, whether we can achieve the divine path, depends on whether we can seize this opportunity. The obese middle-aged man's face flashed with fear, but he was overwhelmed by the huge reward in front of him and said, Yes. Since it is an opportunity, there must be risk. Let's fight. The two looked at each other and decided not to spread the news of Su Yu's appearance. They would hunt him down in private. Swish. Shortly after the two left, 3 figures flashed out of the stone cave. It was the seriously injured blood demon, the giant eagle, and the duckbill beast. Humph, it seems that he has a lot of enemies. The blood demon clutched his painful chest and sneered. That's the best. We can wait for the mantis to show up. The giant eagle and the duckbill beast both sneered and followed them silently. This escape lasted for more than half a day. In the middle of it, Su Yu used the yin-yang wings of Supreme Pole once, consuming almost all of the divine power that he had recovered. Even so, they still couldn't escape the pursuit. After flying for half a day, they were finally caught up. Swoosh! The yellow-robed elder and the obese middle-aged man blocked Su Yu's way forward and retreat. Both of them were a little surprised and became extremely cautious. Su Yu really had incredible abilities, just as the rumors said. Even with their cultivation, they had almost lost him. If the other party hadn't been seriously injured, Su Yu would have escaped. Su Yu, you have no way to escape, the yellow-robed elder shouted. As a citizen of the god realm, you have colluded with the enemies of the wizard tribe. This is a great crime. It is not too late to turn back now. The obese middle-aged man said in a slightly relaxed tone, If you are willing to go with us, the two of us can clarify to the God realm and guarantee your safety." In this regard, Wuxin was unmoved, and her face was exceptionally cold. "Oh, if I go with you, then you will receive the reward from the 4 great imperial sacred factions?" Suyu asked. The two of them were stunned. They thought that Suyu was hiding in the Lost Nation and didn't know about the outside world. They didn't expect him to know so much. "Since you know, we are not afraid to tell you. Come with us honestly and you will suffer less physical pain. Otherwise, there are many people in the God realm who hate you and they can't wait for us to torture you." Among them, the king of the Shui nation hated him the most. Suyu could be said to have destroyed the entire royal family of the Shui nation, leaving no one alive. With such a deep blood feud, he naturally hated Suyu to the core. "That depends on whether you have the ability to capture me," Suyu said. The yellow-robed elder and the obese elder exchanged a look and moved together. They attacked from the front and back, giving Suyu a thunderous blow that he couldn't resist. Bang! However, at this moment, a figure flickered, his hands forming a seal, and invisible waves of sorcery swept out. The obese middle-aged man's face was solemn, and he didn't dare to be careless. He took out a piece of the trunk of the soul-stabilizing wood and hung it around his neck. The waves of sorcery immediately weakened a lot. He dealt with it carefully and barely dissolved the sorcery. The obese middle-aged man's face was solemn, and he shouted, "Elder Huang, finish this quickly. This witch is not an ordinary level 3 wizard. She is very dangerous, and I can't hold on for long." Elder Huang's figure did not change, and he went straight to Suyu saying, "Don't worry, she is at the end of her tether, and I alone can take care of her." Swish! Elder Huang attacked like lightning, and Suyu was easily seized by Elder Huang before he could react. The sharp pain from his shoulder armor made Suyu groan. Elder Huang was stunned that he had easily captured Suyu without any resistance, but he was immediately overjoyed, as if he had caught a great opportunity that belonged to him. "Stop right now, or I will kill him right away," Elder Huang shouted at Wuxin. Wuxin immediately gave up on attacking the obese middle-aged man. Her eyes were anxious and she shouted coldly, "Let him go! If you dare to hurt him, I, Wuxin, swear that I will never let you leave the Lost Nation alive." The obese middle-aged man met up with the yellow-robed elder, and his heart was at ease. He said, "Humph! You will have to find us first. Elder Huang, a long night is fraught with trouble, let's go now." Elder Huang nodded, grabbed Suyu, and rose into the air, ready to fly away. However, just as they were about to leave, 3 ferocious and tyrannical breaths descended from the clouds without warning. Looking up, they saw a giant eagle that was half human and half eagle, carrying 2 creatures as it swooped down. The yellow-robed elder and the obese middle-aged man were taken aback. "What kind of creature is that?" It was neither a god nor a wizard, so they did not know what it was. But no matter what it was, it did not come with good intentions. Formation, defense. The yellow-robed elder and the obese middle-aged man joined forces to put up a defense. Screech! The giant eagle let out a loud screech, and its huge body did not retreat. Instead, it moved forward, cutting through the sky at a faster speed, and swooped down. Crack! The defense they had condensed was shattered in an instant, and the two of them were shaken by the giant eagle's power. Suyu, who had been captured by them, slipped out of their hands, and was quickly protected by Wuxin. She looked at Suyu with surprise and admiration. She did not believe that Suyu had been captured alive before he could react. Obviously, he had deliberately lured out the 3 ferocious beasts that were chasing him. The 3 ferocious beasts were most likely playing the game of the third party, waiting for both sides to be injured, and then easily cleaning up the situation. Unfortunately, Suyu would not let himself be captured as they wished. In that case, how could they sit back and wait for Suyu to be taken away? Naturally, they had to show up and compete with the 2 strong men of the divine path. The blood demon jumped off the giant eagle, his eyes fixed on Suyu. He said, "Second brother, third brother, you take care of the two divine path cultivators. Leave Suyu and the witch to me." Despite being seriously injured, the blood demon still had unparalleled strength. Drip. A drop of dark gray blood flowed from the spine in his palm. The spine seemed to have been stimulated, emitting an even more powerful Azura power. Wuxin's eyes flashed coldly and she leaped up. "I will stop him. You go down, I will catch up with you later." She could see that it was best not to use the jade tombstone until the critical moment. It was bound to be a weapon that would hurt both sides. She was confident that she could put up a fight against the seriously injured blood demon. Sorcery traversing the world. Wuxin performed the sorcery, and her body split into two, 2 into 4, and 4 into 8. The 8 figures performed the same sorcery at the same time. Deadly Curse. This curse was the most advanced sorcery that the mistress of the Saint Lady Temple could practice, and it had the dangerous power to take away one's soul in an instant. Together with the sorcery traversing the world, the 8 of them performed it at the same time, and the power was terrifying. However, the blood demon just held the spine in his hand and swept it across coldly. An unparalleled Azura power swept out, not only wiping out the 8 sorcery at the same time, but also shattering the 8 figures one by one. One of the shattered figures was Wuxin's real body. Her whole body was torn into countless pieces, turning into a rain of blood that filled the sky. However, at the last moment, a dark gray power emerged from her flesh and blood, reassembling her body and restoring it to a complete body. This was similar to the regenerative power of the octopus, but it was a different approach. However, Wuxin's face was pale, and the sorcery power in her body was exhausted. She was extremely weak, and had completely lost the power to fight. It was extremely difficult for her to support her body. She was panting heavily, and her forehead was covered in cold sweat. She cast an apologetic look at Suyu. "I'm sorry that I couldn't help you." Suyu walked over, patted her on the shoulder, and said, "It's enough. The fact that you are not dead is the best ending." After saying that, Suyu held the jade tombstone in his hand and stared at the blood demon. "In every sense, you will die here." As he spoke, he crushed the tombstone. With a cracking sound, the tombstone shattered into pieces, but it actually didn't erupt with any powerful force. However, everyone suddenly noticed that there was a fierce and chilling aura nearby, as if an ancient ferocious beast was rapidly awakening from its slumber. Chapter 1424. Boom! Thunder roared in the sky, and the earth trembled inexplicably. The weak creatures within a radius of thousands of miles seemed to have sensed something instinctively and fled in horror. At the end of the world, strange clouds loomed, appearing and disappearing from time to time. The whole world was illuminated in an unpredictable way, giving people a strange feeling. The sudden appearance of a strange phenomenon in heaven and earth meant that a demon must have been born. The blood demon, the giant eagle, and the duckbill beast, who were killing the 2 deities, suddenly turned around with surprise in their eyes. "This breath is?" The blood demon's ferocious face was filled with disbelief, and he exclaimed, "Dead soul worm." A piece of broken tombstone was gradually covered in crack. The fierce aura was coming from this piece of broken tombstone. Pow! A voice that was not very loud rang out softly. In the roar of thunder, it seemed very weak and almost negligible. However, in the ears of the people present, it was like the sky had collapsed. An extremely evil breath seemed to have swept out from the wild ancient times, causing them to feel an inexplicable sense of panic. It was as if what came out of the palm-sized broken tombstone was not a small creature, but an ancient ferocious beast that could devour heaven and earth. The broken tombstone shattered, revealing a space vortex the size of a thumb hidden inside. From within the space vortex there was a squeaking sound, and then a pitch-black dot slowly flew out from it. This worm was completely black, and it looked ferocious and ferocious. The most amazing thing about it was that it had an extremely powerful deterrent effect on souls. At least, Su Yu's soul felt extreme fear and uneasiness. This was not the first time that Su Yu had encountered a similar scene. It really is a dead soul worm. Su Yu's eyes lit up. In the demonic dimension, he had obtained a dead soul worm at the level of a middle-level deity who had failed to pass the ordeal. With just a wisp of will, it almost killed the demonic god of 6 paths of level 2. However, the dead soul worm in front of him was in a completely intact state. When Wuxin saw this thing, her face turned extremely pale. The triple morph worm. The dead soul worm was the sorcerer tribe's third watch worm. In the past, it had poisoned the lord of the Holy Saint Temple and the mistress of the Saint Lady Temple. Its poison was so potent that it was feared by the people of the sorcerer tribe. They regarded it as the most terrifying thing in the Azura Forbidden Land. Yes, this is indeed the worm. Its true identity is the dead soul worm, Su Yu said. After listening to Wang Qinchen describe the horror of the 3 metamorphosis worm, Su Yu thought of a kind of worm, the dead soul worm. He had carefully studied this insect in the ancient records of the god realm. Its origins were unknown, and it was extremely rare. Even in the ancient era, it was a creature that had almost gone extinct. It was ranked 3rd. Its ranking far surpassed that of the Chaos 5-colored butterfly. Matured dead soul worms had the heaven-defying ability to devour the souls of all living beings. When it was still immature, although its devouring ability was not as strong, it possessed an incomparable poison. If one was bitten by a level 2 deity, they would be poisoned for life. From this point of view, it would be worse than death. It was extremely terrifying. When Su Yu learned that the so-called 3 transformation worm possessed a heaven-defying poison that could easily kill a level 3 strong man, he guessed the true identity of the 3 transformation worm. Now, it seemed that it was true. Wuxin was surprised. How did you know that this 3 transformation worm, the dead soul worm, was hiding in the jade tombstone? Su Yu looked at the small space vortex that had been constructed and said, I have been to the ruins where the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple was buried, but I could not find the remains of the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple. The only explanation is that his remains were used to construct the space vortex. The construction of space was to forcibly open up another space in the original space. In order to prevent the newly created space from being squeezed and shattered by the outside space, it needed to be stabilized. There were many ways to stabilize space, such as using the indestructible bones of strong men. When he realized that the bones of the Lord of the Holy Saint Temple were missing, Su Yu speculated that there was a hidden space nearby, which was most likely used by the 3 transformation worm. When his gaze swept across the jade tombstone, Su Yu felt a subtle spatial fluctuation, confirming that the 3 transformation worm was hiding in the jade tombstone. In order to prevent Wang Qinchen from waking up the 3 transformation worm without his knowledge and causing a fatal disaster, Su Yu calmly asked for the thing. He had wanted to seal it quietly to prevent the dead soul worm from coming out and harming the world, but now that things had come to this, he had no choice but to release it as a trump card to hurt others and himself. There was dead silence all around, and the insects, fish, birds, and beasts seemed to be silent at the same time. The 5 level 3 strong men in the sky were also stiff, not daring to move, staring straight at the dead soul worm in front of them. The dead soul worm shook its wings, as if it had just woken up from a deep sleep and was a little dazed. But soon, a pair of dark red eyes exuded an aura more ferocious than that of the blood demon. Bloodthirst, greed, and ferocious will condensed together and shot out from its eyes. At this moment, no one dared to move, because it would be very easy for the dead soul worm to think that it was a provocation. The dead soul worm looked around at the people present with cold eyes, and its bloodthirsty will grew stronger. It had already regarded the people present as its first breakfast after waking up. Suddenly, when it glanced at Su Yu, it was startled, and its bloodthirsty eyes were filled with doubt. Next, it spat out the language of insects that others could not understand, and squeaked. Surprisingly, Suyu could understand it and responded in the same language. I didn't expect that the dead soul worm would still leave its aura on me. The dead soul worm was asking why Suyu had the aura of its kind on him. Where is it? The dead soul worm seemed a little excited. Suyu said, It died a long time ago. It must have failed to break through to become a middle god and fell. The fierce eyes of the dead soul worm flashed a trace of sadness, and it sighed with mixed emotions. Is my sister dead too? I am the only dead soul worm left in this world. Suyu's heart moved. Was that dead soul worm its sister? Xianming Path Master, you have caused my dead soul worm lineage to suffer so much. The fierce eyes of the dead soul worm were filled with hatred. I want to be strong, I want revenge. Immediately, its eyes stared coldly at Suyu. Stand still and don't move. I will eat them first, and then I will ask you for details. With that, a black light flashed, and it pounced on the nearest blood demon. The blood demon was horrified, and subconsciously raised the spine in his hand in front of him. Crack! To the horror of the blood demon, his spine, which was filled with the boundless power of Azura, was bitten through by the dead soul worm. The power of Azura in the spine was swallowed by the dead soul worm, and the spine was quickly sucked empty. The blood demon was shocked and hurriedly threw away the dead soul worm, retreated with the giant eagle and the duckbill beast, and said in horror, Go! We are no match for the dead soul worm. Whoosh! How could the giant eagle dare to hesitate? Immediately, it flapped its huge wings, carrying the two of them quickly flew into the sky, and disappeared in an instant. They could not even care about Suyu. From the spine that was thrown on the ground, a black worm covered in blood drilled out, looking even more ferocious and ferocious. It sneered as it looked at the leaving giant eagle, and the other two, spread its wings, turned into black lightning, and suddenly flew away. Before leaving, it stared at the four people present and said, Stand here and don't go. I have remembered your breaths. Don't try to escape my pursuit by luck. There are no more than 3 creatures in the world who are more sensitive to breaths than I am. Suyu had no doubt about this. Back then, he had only been in contact with its sister. However, after such a long time, he did not notice the residual breath on his body, but it detected it at once. Wuxin's face was pale. Facing the dead soul worm with her own eyes, she found that she could not muster any resistance. Don't move, we still have a chance of survival, Suyu said, his mind constantly turning, thinking of ways to move the dead soul worm. The Yellow Mountain Elder and the fat middle-aged man looked desperate, and their hearts were horrified. The dead soul worm was famous. As the people of the Divine Path, who ruled the Xing River, of course they knew it. Even if the rulers of the 4 empires encountered this worm, they would be afraid, let alone them. The Yellow Mountain Elder crushed the jade pendant in his sleeve and decisively said, Reporting to the commander, we have found traces of Suyu, please send reinforcements quickly. At this moment, they also gave up the idea of taking Suyu for themselves and resolutely decided to ask for reinforcements. Neither side moved. Suyu was seriously injured, and his divine power was weak, so he could not compete with the 2 level 3 deities. The other side was afraid of the dead soul worm and did not dare to act rashly. In this way, time passed bit by bit and they waited patiently. If the reinforcements came back first, Suyu would definitely die. If the dead soul worm came back first, the yellow-robed elder and the fat middle-aged man would definitely die. At this moment, a sharp scream resounded in the sky. Then, a black lightning cut through the sky and swooped down, with the blood demon and the giant eagle standing on it. The dead soul worm did not kill them and they escaped. However, the blood demon's body was already seriously injured. His body was hollowed out, and only 10% of his vitality was left, barely supporting his movement. However, the giant eagle and the duckbill beast were not seriously injured. As soon as the giant eagle appeared, It pierced the fat middle-aged man and the yellow-robed elder with its sharp claws. The latter was alert and responsive, and he narrowly avoided being hit in the vital parts, but his arm was torn off by the claws. However, the fat middle-aged man was not so lucky. His body and soul were crushed by the claws, and he died on the spot. The yellow-robed elder was shocked. He did not dare to wait for the dead soul worm to return, and he fled in a hurry. The giant eagle sneered and did not chase. The yellow-robed elder only thought that if he gave up on Suyu, the three ferocious beasts would let him go. Just as he was about to leave this place, suddenly, from the void in front of him, a giant duck-beak-shaped mouth appeared abruptly from the void and clamped the yellow-robed elder. This clamp caused the yellow-robed elder to be clamped into two parts in an instant, and he died with a scream. At this time, the invisible duckbill beast was revealed. It walked in front of Suyu with the giant eagle and the blood demon. The blood demon endured the injury and said fiercely, "Man proposes, God disposes. Your registration trump card has encountered an accident." Accident? Suyu was secretly shocked. With the power of the dead soul worm, how could it encounter an accident? Second brother, take his life immediately. Don't give him any more chances. This person is too cunning, and we must not give him any chances, the blood demon said decisively. Since the beginning of the fight, Suyu's various tricks and schemes had made him wary. Chapter 1425. Third brother, you stop that witch, the blood demon ordered. The duckbill beast carried out the order. The giant eagle was slightly dissatisfied, but he still walked towards Suyu, his giant claws suddenly stabbing towards Suyu's head. At this moment, Suyu could not activate the World Annihilation Dragon's reverse scale and was about to be killed on the spot. However, Suyu looked calm and said, "Are you really willing to submit to the blood demon? All the credit belongs to the blood demon alone, but all the hard work is yours. Without you, how could I have caught up with Wang Qinchin so easily? Without you, how could I have caught up with me so quickly? Without you, how could I have protected the seriously injured blood demon?" The giant eagle's claws stopped abruptly, and he shouted in a deep voice, "What do you want to say?" "Oh, you know what I want to say." Suyu's eyes shone with wisdom. The giant eagle shook his head slightly and said, "Don't waste your time. For the sake of the master, I am willing to do everything, even if there is only hard work and no credit." After that, he was about to kill Suyu. However, Suyu said, "Oh? Do you really think that the master's coming out of isolation will benefit you? Look, the blood demon, who is your nominal brother, has never treated you as a brother? I think you are more like a subordinate, giving orders at every turn. Who will the master remember when he comes out of isolation? Will he remember you as a subordinate, or the blood demon, the commander?" I said, "I don't care about fame and fortune," the giant eagle said coldly. Suyu said, "But you must care about your life. You are united now because you have a common goal. But if you are still willing to bow down to the blood demon forever after rescuing Master, you may be able to live in harmony, but you will still have a little bit of independence. Do you think that with the blood demon's temperament, it is necessary for him to keep someone like you, whose strength is on par with his, but whose contributions are greater than his?" These words touched the nerves of the giant eagle. He had always been dissatisfied with the status of the blood demon. In terms of strength, he was not much worse than the blood demon, and in terms of credit, he did not lose to him. In order to rescue the master, he swallowed his pride and intended to go his separate ways after rescuing the master. However, Suyu's words alerted him. No one knew better than him what the blood demon was like. He was cold, cruel, inhuman, and extremely possessive. If he really left the blood demons one day, the blood demons would be afraid of his strength and contributions, and the probability of them killing him would be extremely high. The duckbill beast might be safe, but the blood devil would certainly not tolerate him. At this moment, Suyu's enticing voice drifted out of his mouth once again. Now, an opportunity to settle everything once and for all is right in front of you. Not only will it allow you to become the greatest contributor to rescuing my master, but it will also allow you to get rid of your worries. So, why did you turn a blind eye to such an opportunity? The giant eagle was shocked and shouted, "You want me to betray my brother?" Suyu shook his head. "No, this is called taking preventive measures. If you don't kill him today, he will surely kill you tomorrow. This is self-defense, and it has nothing to do with betrayal." The giant eagle's eyes flickered. He was deeply moved by Suyu's words. Blood Demon was currently heavily injured and was at his weakest. If he could get rid of him, then everything would belong to him. Blood Demon laughed angrily. "You want to use words to sow discord between us brothers? Suyu, oh Suyu, your methods are too childish." Platypus was filled with righteous indignation. While attacking Wu Xian, he said angrily, "Second brother, what are you hesitating for? Could it be that you have fallen into his trap of sowing discord?" After being roared at by both of them, the giant eagle recovered from his hesitation. The hesitation on his face dissipated and was replaced by firmness and determination. He stared at Suyu and said lightly, "I'm sorry, but I can't do as you wish." His sharp claws suddenly stabbed down. However, at the moment when the claws stabbed down, his body suddenly turned around strangely, and his sharp claws turned to stab the defenseless Blood Demon. The giant eagle's face was filled with madness and ferocity. He sneered and said, "When you need me, you call me second brother and bind me with your brotherhood. When you don't need me, you call me giant eagle and order me as your boss. Blood Demon, do you think I'm an idiot?" "He's right, you and I are definitely incompatible." Swish! The sharp claws pierced through the Blood Demon's head, and with a twist, the last trace of vitality of the Blood Demon was erased. He did not die at the hands of outsiders, but at the hands of his own people. The outcome was so unexpected that no one had expected it. Big Brother Blood Demon. The duckbill beast's eyes were red. He roared and pushed Wuxin away before pouncing on the giant eagle. "You heartless traitor, I'll kill you." The giant eagle's mouth curved into a sneer. "Third brother, are you a match for me?" With a sweep of his claws, he left a deep bloody mark on the duckbill beast's chest. The duckbill beast immediately went invisible, trying to kill the giant eagle with his mutated talent. However, the giant eagle just sneered. His sharp eyes seemed to see through everything, and his sharp claws stabbed 30 feet away from his side. With a miserable howl, the figure of the duckbill beast appeared from his invisibility. Half of his body was pierced by the giant eagle's sharp claws. The duckbill beast said incredulously, "How could you see through my mutated talent? You just mutated your wings and sped up your movements. Who told you that I only mutated my wings? I have a very rare double mutation, and my eyes have also partially mutated. It's more than enough to see through your invisibility talent." The giant eagle sneered and revealed a secret that he had kept hidden for a long time. The duckbill beast looked indignant and said with grief and indignation, "So you've been guarding against us for a long time." The giant eagle had a cruel look in his eyes. "We all know that sooner or later, the 5 of us will disband. Goodbye, third brother." With a shake of his claws, he was about to shatter the duckbill beast's body. However, at this moment, a voice that made his hair stand on end suddenly sounded behind the giant eagle. "Then, I'll also tell you a secret. In fact, I also have a double mutation." The Blood Demon, whose vitality had been extinguished, suddenly opened his eyes without warning, and a strong vitality burst out from the depths of his body. The giant eagle stiffened and was shocked. "You also," before he could finish his words, the Blood Demon attacked violently, and his sharp palms pierced the giant eagle's chest. At the same time, the power of Azura erupted from his palms, shattering the giant eagle into countless pieces from the inside out. A rain of blood sprinkled all over the Blood Demon's body, making his already ferocious face look even more terrifying. Cough, cough. The blood demon coughed heavily twice and stared at the head of the giant eagle with a grim smile. He said sarcastically, "My second mutation ability is the immortal body. As long as my body still exists, I can be resurrected once." With a sneer, he crushed the giant eagle's body with one foot and looked at Suyu with a sneer. "I was right, I can't give you any chance to breathe. You're too dangerous." At this moment, he felt that the danger of Suyu's schemes was even more terrifying than the 4,000 divine paths. With a meticulous mind, he could easily see the giant eagle's dissatisfaction with the blood demon with just one look. Then, with a few words, he stabbed the giant eagle's vital point and successfully instigated the giant eagle's rebellion. This ability was really too terrifying. "Duckbill beast, hold that witch, I'll kill him myself." The blood demon yelled and strode towards Suyu. Without hesitation, his sharp claws pierced towards Suyu's chest. However, at this moment, a big mouth clamped down on him without warning. The blood demon was stunned. He looked back and couldn't help but be startled. "Duckbill beast?" The duckbill beast opened its huge mouth and clamped the blood demon tightly, closing it continuously. Under the tremendous pressure, the blood demon's body was squeezed into a crack. The duckbill beast's calm eyes revealed exhaustion and complexity. "I'm sorry, big brother. You betrayed me too." The blood demon couldn't believe that the duckbill beast, who was fighting desperately for him just now, had betrayed him at the last minute. The dark red eyes of the duckbill beast gradually receded, and a touch of clarity flickered. He said, "Big brother, is it really good to release the master?" "With the nature of the master, he treats the common people like ants and treats us like slave. Back then, there were 10 of us brothers, and 5 of us died in the hands of the master. It was all because he was in a bad mood. Is it really good to release such a master?" The blood demon was furious. "How dare you question the master? Also, what's wrong with your eyes? Why are they clear and bright?" "It's not that I'm questioning, but the memories of our 5 brothers were erased." The duckbill beast took out some wizard props, which were the relics of the 5 elders of the Chu clan. "Using their props, I suppressed the power of Azura in my body. Some of the erased memories have been recovered, and I have also regained my own sanity. Big brother, we are all controlled by the master, even our thoughts. It's hard for me to believe that such a master won't obliterate us as soon as he comes out of seclusion to prevent us from rebelling after we wake up," said the duckbill beast. The blood demon was startled. "Then why didn't you say so earlier?" The duckbill beast smiled bitterly. "I'm the only one who is in a sober state and remembers what happened in the past. If I say it out loud, the big brother and the other 3 brothers will be controlled immediately and kill me. So, I've been waiting for an opportunity and endured it." The blood demon's expression eased and he said, "I see. I trusted the master so much in vain. Duckbill beast, you've done a good job. Leave with the big brother." As he spoke, he tried to pry open the duckbill beast's mouth, meaning to let him down. Unexpectedly, not only did the duckbill beast not let him go, but he suddenly clamped his mouth and crushed his body completely. He said with mixed feelings, "Big brother, you don't have to pretend. Your eyes are still blood red, which means that you're still under the master's control. You will never betray the master. If I let you go, I'll end up like the giant eagle." Having failed in his plan, the blood demon no longer concealed himself and roared ferociously, "Let me go! You traitor! If the master finds out, he will never forgive you." He bombarded the duckbill beast's huge mouth with all his might, but he was also an arrow at the end of its flight and could do nothing. The duckbill beast sighed deeply. "Goodbye, big brother. I should also thank the giant eagle for making you use your hidden mutant talent." Crack! With a muffled sound and a mournful and ferocious scream, the blood demon was clamped to death by the duckbill beast and turned into a rain of blood. Even his soul was crushed. He could not be more dead. A massacre between the brothers came to an end just like that. Even Su Yu did not expect that the quietest duckbill beast was the most ruthless among them. Wuxin's eyes flashed, and he was about to attack the duckbill beast. If he was alone, he still had some confidence in killing the duckbill beast. Chapter 1426. Wuxin raised her eyebrows. In a one-on-one fight, I'm stronger than him. Su Yu said, that's because he deliberately showed weakness, because he never used his second mutant talent on you. Wuxin was taken aback. He also has a second mutant talent? I'm afraid so. Except for the fourth and fifth brother, all three of them have mutant talents, but it's the one that hides the most. Su Yu said lightly. The duckbill beast looked at Su Yu with his clear eyes and said, the blood demon was right about you. You are terrible, especially when you are my enemy. Even now I don't dare to attack you, because before you die, no one knows what other terrifying tricks you have up your sleeves. He looked at Su Yu's sleeves with a vigilant look in his eyes. Su Yu smiled gently. Is the second talent the fantasy breaker? It can see through everyone's trump cards. The duckbill beast was shocked and nodded. Yes, I have long seen through the double talents of the giant eagle and the big brother, so I never dared to stop them. Now it's all over. Wuxin suddenly understood. If he had the talent to see through others' trump cards, it would be too terrifying. During a fight, the opponent could grasp any state of his body and choose the best time to attack. If he had used the fantasy breaker talent just now, Wuxin would have been killed by him because of a moment of carelessness. Recalling the two fights, her every move was under the control of the opponent. Wuxin shuddered. If the opponent wanted to kill her, he might have succeeded twice. What are you going to do? Su Yu asked. The duckbill beast was silent for a while and looked in the direction of the Azura Forbidden Land. Go back. The seal of the first level of heaven is still there, so I can only leave temporarily. If I don't return for a long time, I will die. As he spoke, the duckbill beast absorbed all the relics of the giant eagle, picked out the token, and handed it to Su Yu. The seal of the Azura Forbidden Land cannot be broken. There are creatures mutated by the power of Azura inside. Once they break out, the consequences will be unimaginable. Su Yu looked surprised. You are trapped in the Azura Forbidden Land. If it were me, I would get this token, unlock the seal of the first level of heaven, and gain freedom. Duckbill Beast shook his head and looked around. He said meaningfully, Do you think that the Lost Nation is not a prison? Just as Su Yu was pondering the profound meaning of these words, the Duckbill Beast said, There are still my people in the Azura Forbidden Lands. I must go back and take care of them. That is the best place for me to return to. Su Yu nodded and silently held the badge in his hand. Please keep this token for yourself. Don't hand it over to the Chu clan that guards the Forbidden Grounds. They have already lost their ancestors' sense of worry. They actually dared to recklessly touch the second heaven's restriction and almost caused a great disaster. Such a family clan has already lost the qualifications to guard the Azura Forbidden Land. As for you, you have personally seen the Master and seen how terrifying the Azura Forbidden Land is. I believe you know what to choose. Sure. Su Yu had no intention of returning the badge. Also, please take care of the control core of the second seal. Don't let it fall into the hands of others. Otherwise, when Master comes out, he will definitely do his best to open the third seal and release the terrifying existence inside. The Azura Forbidden Land was divided into 3 layers. If the second layer sealed that terrifying mysterious monster, then who was sealed in the third layer? Was he the one who was sealed by the wizard ancestor back then? What is sealed in the third layer? Su Yu asked. The Duckbill Beast shook his head. I don't know. I only know that it is very terrifying. It once inadvertently leaked a trace of its breath, which affected the Great Path rules. 99% of the creatures in the first layer were wiped out. Upon hearing this, Su Yu was shocked. A trace of breath could affect the Great Path rules. What kind of existence was this? Well, I have to go back. Take care of yourselves. Please be sure to stay away from the Azura Forbidden Land and don't set foot here again. The duckbill beast rose into the air. Just as he was about to leave, he thought of something and said, "By the way, the dead soul worm was chased by a level 2 deity and has escaped. It should have no time to care about you. You can leave quickly." A level 2 deity? Suyu was sure he had not heard it wrong. Wasn't that an existence at the same level as the 4 great empires? How could they appear here? After the duckbill beast finished speaking, he immediately left and returned to the Azura Forbidden Land. Suyu pondered for a while in the same place, then quickly left with Wuxin's help. Not long after they left, in the river of blood on the ground, the corpse of the yellow-robed old man, which had been caught in two, squirmed for a while, and a small khaki snake emerged from the corpse. The little snake's whole body radiated yellow light and gradually changed into an old man, who looked exactly like the yellow-robed old man. Fortunately, I managed to escape by shedding my skin at the critical moment. Otherwise, I would have died here today. The yellow-robed old man felt a lingering fear when he thought about it. At that moment, a large black cloud moved in the depths of the sky. The tyrannical breath of dozens of level 3 deities shrouded the area, and countless divine powers intertwined, shocking all the creatures in the surroundings. The yellow-robed old man trembled all over and hurriedly knelt and kowtowed. "The demon general welcomes the commander." Walala, the rolling dark clouds parted, and more than 30 powerful level 3 deities knelt side by side all the way from the dark clouds to the ground, forming a staircase. As everyone knelt to welcome them, the figure of a young man full of defiance slowly walked out of the dark clouds. His appearance was ordinary, and his skin was slightly dark, but his body exuded the defiance of all living beings. It seemed that all injustices could not stop his footstep. Or rather, everything that stood in his way was wiped out. He was none other than Nitian Hanxing, who led the heaven-defying Empire's army deep in. In front of him, the yellow-robed old man's body was tense, and his breathing was rapid. He looked extremely nervous. "So you left?" Nitian Hanxing glanced at the corpses all over the ground and said indifferently. The yellow-robed old man then explained the ins and outs of the matter one by one. It was intricate and complicated, and the situation had changed drastically several times. It was fascinating to the ears of others, and it made them speechless. But when it fell into the ears of Nitian Hanxing, he was not surprised. "Why didn't you report when Suyu appeared? Why did you only think of me, the commander, when you chased him all the way here?" Nitian Hanxing had a smile on his face. But that smile made the yellow-robed old man tremble all over, and his face was extremely pale. "Did you think that by catching Suyu, you would receive an amazing reward, and you would no longer have to obey me, the commander?" Nitian Hanxing asked again, and his smile deepened. The yellow-robed old man hurriedly explained, "It was my lack of consideration. I only wanted to intercept and kill the escaped criminal, and hand him over to the commander. I had no intention of taking the reward for myself." "Ha ha!" Nitian Hanxing laughed out loud, and threw out a poisoned dagger from his sleeve. "Those who deceive me die. For the sake of you conquering many tribes, I'll give you a quick death. Don't make me do it myself." After saying that, Nitian Hanxing walked back to the dark clouds. The group of level 3 deities followed him back into the dark clouds. No one looked at the yellow-robed old man, and many of them were his old friends. It was not that they did not want to, but they did not dare to. The yellow-robed old man's face was pale, and he held the dagger in his hand, his eyes full of remorse. The poison on this dagger was specially used to poison souls. Not long ago, he had personally supervised a deputy commander who was at a disadvantage in battle and committed suicide with this dagger. He did not expect that not long after, it would be his turn. He raised the dagger and stabbed it into his chest without thinking. He did not dare to resist, because the consequences of resistance were even more terrible. Those who went against Nitian Hanshings had never had a good ending, not a single one. The poison entered his body, and the yellow-robed old man died immediately, without any pain. On the dark clouds, Nitian Hanshing glanced at the silent crowd and said lightly, "Everyone, take this as a warning." Yes. The deputy commanders did not even dare to breathe. Nitian Hanshing did not take it seriously at all when he sentenced a meritorious minister to death. He said, "Since our whereabouts have been discovered, let's act immediately." Yes. Fan capital in the underground courtyard. Shuang looked anxious. "His injuries are so serious," Wuxin said. "Don't worry, his injuries are not serious, and he will recover in half a day." Shuang looked at her with a complicated expression. "This trip is all thanks to you. Without you, he may not have returned safely." Hearing that, Wuxin smiled bitterly. "To be precise, even without me, he could have escaped unscathed." His various methods, his various schemes, all made Wu Xian slap the table in praise. As the duckbill beast said, before Su Yu was completely dead, no one knew what other terrible tricks he had up his sleeves. "Follow me back to the Saint Lady Temple. I believe the mistress has forgiven you," Shuang said. Wuxin shook her head, and there was a touch of relief in her eyes. "The wizard tribe is no longer a place for me. I want to go to the god realm to have a look." Knowing that she had made up her mind, Shuang no longer tried to persuade her. He said, "Wait for Su Yu to come out of isolation, and we'll talk about it after we meet." Wuxin looked at Shuang and said with a faint smile, "I'll leave more opportunities for the two of you. I hope you get what you want." Shuang's handsome face blushed. "You misunderstood, I didn't. You better take care of yourself. An outstanding man like Su Yu is hard to come by. If you can obtain his heart, it would be a great blessing for you." Wuxin calmly smiled, then walked away. Shuang bit his lip, and the blush on his face deepened. Inside the secret chamber, Su Yu took out the giant eagle's belongings. It was the giant eagle who killed Chu Long, so all of Chu Long's belongings were in the giant eagle's belongings. After a thorough inspection, he found Chu Long's space ring. With some anticipation, Su Yu scanned it with his soul and was immediately overjoyed. The 10,000 soul stone for crafting the cosmos sword formation. All the materials needed to craft the world annihilation plate were here. The materials needed to craft many weapons of the ancient civilization were dazzling. Although Chu Long did not think that he would lose, with Ling Wu present, he had no choice but to put on an act to get the good materials. Su Yu was completely at ease. He finally had no worries. "I'll craft it patiently when I return to the forbidden land of the epic-making dragon," Su Yu secretly planned. Then, Su Yu took out the crystal ball and the token. Both of them were the key to unlocking the seal of the Azura Forbidden Lands. He couldn't afford to lose them. Su Yu put them all into the 9 jade spiritual pearl for safekeeping. Looking at the power of Azura gradually dissipating in his body, Su Yu breathed a sigh of relief and allowed his body to recover on its own. In his mind, he was practicing the second style of the heaven-fighting 3 strokes, the ultimate style.